Good afternoon, and I would like to call this meeting to order at 2 o'clock. I would like to welcome everybody to today's meeting, and I know that we have a relatively full agenda today with items that could make this an emotionally charged meeting. However, I would ask each one of you board members to remember that although we may differ on some of our opinions, each one of us is in truth working for our students, our families, our teachers, our staff, our principals, and our central administrators to make this the very best school district we possibly can. We must provide our very best thinking by expressing ourselves in a positive, productive, and professional manner. I would ask that each one of you be respectful to your fellow trustees and our audience by sticking to the agenda item, raising your hand to be heard, limiting side conversations, directing your comments to the chair and not to each other, and taking turns so everyone's opinions can be heard. Please be respectful of everyone's right to communicate and to contribute, whether you agree or disagree. Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Yes. Thank you, Vice President McClory. Trustee Ayazi.
Here.
Trustee Gutierrez.
I'm here.
Vice President McClory.
Present.
Trustee Mayer.
Here.
Trustee Rosenberg.
Here.
President Clark.
Here.
Let me make a comment. President Clark could not be here today because she's been in Southern California all this past week. Her mother is terminally ill and she's in hospice care, and so we hope Barbara will be able to be on here as much as possible today. Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you.
I am here, and we're waiting for Logan as he's still in school.
Very good. We'll do our Pledge of Allegiance. Dave, since this is your finale and your farewell, we'll feature you today.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, on the action to adopt the agenda, we're going to switch items 301 and 302 and pull item 305. Do we have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Move to adopt the agenda with changes.
I second it. So are you saying that 3.02 becomes 3.01?
Yes.
Okay. I second it.
And 3.05 is
Pulled today. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. The agenda is adopted. All right, let's move on to public comment. We have a few here, and we have a lady who is Charlotte Hawkins, who wishes to speak. Welcome, Charlotte.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you for being here.
I'm here on the behalf of Rita Cannon Elementary School. I'm here about my grandson, Brandon Hawkins, also about another child. On September 23rd, I was approached by a teacher when I went to pick up my grandson from school. She had told me that she had put her hand on two of the children, which was my grandson and another child. She slammed two kids down in a chair. I've also went to the Reno Police Department. They said that they had passed information over here. The reason why I'm here today is because I feel that nothing is being done, and they've been telling me that there's been an investigation ongoing. Reno Police, the school police department did not take a statement from me, so I feel that nothing is being done about the situation. Also, on the same day, the same teacher has slapped another child and grabbed him by his arm. They told me that an investigation was going on with the school police. I found out that that was not true. There was no investigation going on. And the other thing is that when she grabbed the kid by saying the school police said that the parent was lying about that incident. And the school police told me and my daughter that this teacher did say that she was incapable of being in the classroom with other children. She was a substitute teacher at that time. And I feel that this teacher should have been suspended if there was an investigation. She should not be on campus.
Tracy, would you take her phone number? It's 393-0626 and investigate on her complaint, please. I've asked the deputy superintendent right there, Tracy.
I will now have to work with school police, as school police was involved in this, and this is the first time I've heard of this complaint.
That's what I thought. So we will get it taken care of and call you back.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Galen Mitchell.
Good afternoon,
Good afternoon, welcome.
Madam President, board members, and the public that's here. I hope that they're all here to work for the school district. Anyway, Madam President, members of the school board, I stand before you as a lifelong resident of this area. I love this area. However, I see that a lynch mob, that's my perspective of it, wants to tar and feather you and run you out of town. I've sat on this board. I know the problems that have been beset you. The mob driven by the newspaper that has not the foggiest idea of what needs to be done seeks to blame you for the problems, real or perceived. Yet those people have not asked what they can do to help this board. And this board has failed to communicate to the public that they need help. You need to educate the public. Tell them that only the state legislature can raise the per pupil funding. Tell them that Clark County gets more funding than Washoe County. Tell them how the tax districts take revenue away from the school district. Tell them that the board has lost control. Your contract with the superintendent is one of those items. Tell them you have no secretary, no internal auditor, no control over the board's budget. Inform the public that the school district is the largest landowner in this county. It controls the second largest transportation fleet in the state, has one of the largest budgets in the county, hires over 7,000 employees. Yet you, the board, are condemned for failures. Failures of whom? You hire a manager, but you don't reach out to the public and tell them the things that you need. You don't get the public involved. You need a citizens review board answerable directly to the board, not through the superintendent. That committee to review all the land needs and the sales or transfers of land. The committee needs to review the next budget and ensure that all departments have a fair piece of the money. You need at least 2 internal auditors to help you inspect all of the hidden bank accounts or special fund holding accounts. I know from personal experience that land developers and real estate people look to the school district for choice parcels of land to buy at great discounts. 3 minutes is not enough time to disclose all the items that need to be fixed in the school district. So I close with this comment. If the superintendent alone did such a great job, why are the teachers and the parents upset throughout the district? Why do these citizens have to come and appear before you? Thank you very much. I appreciate my time.
Thank you, Galen. Fred Boyd. Welcome.
Thank you for allowing me to return once again. At least 10 organizations in this community who support education and have thousands of members, as well as a multitude of citizens and taxpayers, are still, in case you're not aware of it, up in arms about the actions and approaches taken by our school board. Damage to the community in terms of reputation and credibility, costing the district upwards of $800,000, asking the question, where will the cuts be made to cover that? You have validated, or violated is perhaps a better word, your own policies, let alone any common sense. You've gone against your own early goals of transparency. You made it challenging to appeal to new superintendent prospects. Hundreds of people have asked you to do the most honorable and logical step, to resign. You have chosen not to do so. We need new leadership. How? It needs to be achieved through the election process next week, the appointment process, and continued action to remove the remaining board members. Of course, you've heard all this before, but here's something new. Why did you hire outside legal support? The public understood that it was to deal with the superintendent's lawsuit after the July 22nd debacle. Why have your legal reps continued to be involved after the settlement? Has this extension of services been voted upon? Speaking of the public, they have recently been told the district will be out only a small portion of the staggering settlement costs. How untrue. When you are self-insured, the dollars spent will need to be reimbursed in case another mishandling occurs. It's time for new board leadership. Thank you.
Thank you, Fred. Dan Wolf. Welcome.
Well, thank you. Good afternoon, Madam President, members of the board. I come to speak to you on a different matter. I just happen to be in town. I work for Southwest Food Service Excellence, and we are going to be bidding on your food service program, and I just wanted to introduce myself. I can leave a little information for you. We've already met with Andrea Sullivan a couple of times, and I just wanted to say on our behalf, we appreciate her due diligence and seeing what's out there and seeing what's available. But we are an option for food service and interested in your district, and I just wanted to, like I said, introduce myself. So I'm going to leave this information for you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Karen Dunaway.
Good afternoon.
Good
I
afternoon.
have forgotten my reading glasses, so please don't know that I'm not trying to be disrespectful when I go like this. My name is Karen Dunaway. I recently retired from school police as a dispatcher. I want to finish well leaving the school district. And as I did with my coworkers in touching base with misunderstandings, wrongs, and apologies that needed to be made, I want to do that in this local venue. I came once before and I was very angry when I came, though I spoke truth. I'm hoping that I have calmed, and right now I'm just sad. I was trained and I work with a local police agency where you work for excellence, accuracy, and honesty in all things. I was taught to announce and even almost trumpet my mistakes because it made a difference to the final outcome, possibly on a call for service or the safety of someone. One of the last calls I took for school police, I was focused on another issue. It was a bullying issue that I was entranced with, and the call that I took, I did not give my full attention to. And I sent the officers to the wrong school. I was so very grateful that it was a neighboring school and it was close. But in an ultimate case, which is what we trained for and what we think about, the worst case scenario, those few minutes that it took the officers to go from the wrong school to the correct school could have been life-changing for people. So in that same respect that I come and I am transparent, I'm going to ask all of you to be transparent and honest. Superintendent Martinez, you were not here and I'm sorry. You know what? You're a blur, and I apologize, but I'm just going to go like this, okay? You weren't here the first time that I got to speak. You signed the Friday minutes with gratefulness for all you do for the students and the staff, and I want to voice that to you as you go. I have no idea all of the situations that you are responsible for, the good that you have done, and I am grateful for that. But I want to address, secondly, I want to address my experience with my encounter with you, and that was when you called the meeting at school police after you had fired Chief Maris. In that meeting, you gave misinformation. You were inaccurate and gave skewed statistics to our department. You gave accusing innuendo that you then dismissed.
Ma'am.
Point of order, that's not appropriate.
This is,
Okay.
Okay.
You're alleging things that Superintendent Martinez would need to be noticed for as
Okay.
superintendent of schools.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
this is public comment.
No,
I'm sorry, you're absolutely incorrect. Public comment, they can do anything they choose to do. If it's us that cannot talk about anyone here without notice.
but the
Public comment, they can come and talk to us, they can come and talk about any other employee in this district. That's what public comment is for. And you're absolutely incorrect in telling her that she cannot speak on this public comment. I'll just put that out there. She can say what she wants, but that's my opinion.
I think it could be a subject of an open meeting law complaint, Trustee Eisen.
Well, then we have to deal with that. But then the legislature can deal with whether the public has a right to voice their opinion, or whether, how else would she get this out there? Any allegation, she'd have to come to us and ask one of us to put it on the agenda, and if one of us chooses not to, this is the voice for the people to be heard when there's no other avenue for them to take. And they don't have to follow the open meeting law. The open meeting law is not written for the public, it's written for us.
It's written for protection of individuals.
Not written for the public. It's protection of the employees from the employers, not from the public.
Well, I'm uncomfortable with that, and I would appreciate it if you would put your thoughts into a letter and send it to us on an individual
will.
basis.
I
Can
will.
you do that?
Yes, I will. Yes, I
Thank you,
will.
and sorry about the
It's all
confusion.
right. It's all right. I just wanted to extend the fact that I was so very disheartened, and my presence here is the wrong that I believe that was done to Chief Mike Maris, and the misinformation given about him to the board members, and that the wrong needs to be corrected. And
All right, thank you very much.
you're going to cut me off.
Yes.
Okay. All
I
right.
believe you have the right to file an open meeting law complaint about us cutting off your public comment.
Okay. I thank you. Can I address the board in a positive way?
Well, no, your time is up. You can write another card if you choose.
Mr. Ayazi, you're going to be in my prayers, you and your family.
Thank you.
And I respect all of you for what you have done, and for staying the course. And yeah, that's all the positive that I can say, unless I go into the loud voices of the community who are wrong. You should, I would vote for you all. I would leave this board intact and ask you to continue your work.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Paul Mitchell? Welcome.
Good afternoon. Would just like to read a few words regarding someone who is looking to gain a seat on this board. I would like to say a few words regarding my friend, Dr. Angela Taylor. We've known each other for more than 20 years. We went through our doctorate program in educational leadership together. She asked me to serve on several coaching search committees, as well as become a member of PAC Pause, an organization she started while the senior women's athletics director at the University of Nevada, to promote women's athletics. Someone once asked me, if you had to describe Angie in one word, what would it be? Well, class comes to mind. The way she carries herself, the way she dresses, she's always well dressed. She does have great style or quality, but that's not it. Humble, she is modest in behavior, but that's not quite it either. No, the word I would choose would be integrity. Firm adherence to a code or standard of values. That sums up Angie. Whatever Angie has done, be it in athletics, as one of literally only a handful of women's senior administrators nationally, or as vice president of fundraising at the University of Nevada, or as an assistant pastor at Greater Light Christian Center, or currently as a business owner, she has always gone about her business with integrity. Due to recent events, the integrity of the Washoe County School District and those who govern has come into question. What's done is done, and we all have to move forward. Let me be crystal clear here. We all have to move forward with integrity. But moving forward with integrity means putting people with integrity forward into leadership positions. Again, let me be crystal clear. The decisions of today impact everyone. You, me, everyone living in Reno. Big business, small business owners, all the universities and other state entities. Right now, our community, has a black eye. The nation is going to be watching us to see how we sell our community. That process, ladies and gentlemen, starts today. Dr. Taylor was raised in Reno, where she graduated from Hug High School. Dr. Taylor earned not one, not two, but 3 degrees from the University of Nevada. She took her talents to the University of Nevada, where she played basketball, was a team captain, and is a member of the university's Hall of Fame. You see, attitude reflects leadership. She has won numerous awards and served on numerous boards in this community, I'm sure with many of you who are currently in attendance. She knows Reno. She is Reno. She transcends Reno. Wherever, whenever, with whoever, make no mistake, Dr. Angie Taylor has served with integrity. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, the end of the public comment.
For now, yes.
We'll move on to the consent agenda. Are there any items that anyone would like pulled? Oh,
Oh, I'm sorry. Put it right there.
you want to be on the first one? All right. Sorry, Tammy Callahan. Welcome.
Must have been some confusion. Thank you. Dear Honorable Board of Trustees, I am here today because I have exhausted all remedies to avoid filing a lawsuit against Washoe County School District. As you know, until 2010, I taught with exceptional care, concern, and the highest professionalism for the district for 23 years. I was involuntarily separated for being a whistleblower regarding inefficient leadership that was not limited to the principal at that time. The lack of oversight, the deliberate retaliatory acts included an area superintendent, the human resource director. It may have even included the former superintendent, Heath Morrison, as well. I was smart enough to file a claim with the Nevada Equal Rights Commission in 2011 after the fiduciary responsibility of the district representatives to reinstate me were obscured by their own acts of retaliation. I've yet to file suit, but just received information from the NERC that acknowledges after 3 years of investigating my claim, there's cause for concern. After speaking on behalf of a special needs child on February 25th in a public board meeting, 3 days later I was at school and the police were summoned to have me removed or be arrested. I have the complaint, you have the complaint, It has not been answered. I have been ignored. I've been promised by a trustee to give it some time. They would get back to me. I have compassion for where we are as a district and as a former employee of the district, but you must answer someone when they have a concern. I've been more than patient with the district and with the board. I am here to tell you publicly I've retained Ken McKenna as counsel, and we invite all parties to come forth now and resolve this before I am forced to join others in filing a suit against Washoe County School District. What is one to do when a public entity refuses to follow policy? The abuse of police power needs to be taken seriously. What happened to me was wrong. It was absolutely embarrassing, humiliating, and it was against me for no reason. And I don't want money. I want restitution for what's happened. I've spent 3 years. I could have gone and sued. I was told by an attorney just like you, Mr. Martinez, superintendent, sue and get your 7 years. I fired that attorney. I got another attorney, a black African American, that took $55 a month payment to me until she died of cancer. I will not let this go. I am here because I care. Let's fix it and let's get her done. The district has been granted police power, and with that comes responsibility and accountability. A failure to respond and explain is the use of this police power is an abuse of police power. And Superintendent Martinez, you came in after the fact, but you dropped the ball big time. So I've watched my board, people who I know and respect, suffer, and I was quiet.
Thank you, Tammy. All right. That's the end of the public. Consent agenda items, once again, do you have any items that you would like pulled? If not, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that to approve the consent agenda. Are there any more comments, discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 No. The ayes have it. The motion is passed. All right. Items 3, items for presentation, discussion, information, and/or action. Kent will be discussing the determination pursuant to the terms of the court-appointed settlement agreement now in place of the final day for Superintendent Pedro Martinez to be present and actually working in the position of superintendent. Kent Robinson.
Thank you, Madam President, Honorable Trustees, Superintendent Martinez. The settlement agreement with the superintendent requires that the board decide the superintendent's last day. It's on the agenda, it's been properly noticed, and action should be taken on that. Mr. Malloy, my co-counsel, and I are here to advise you that this is being done pursuant to the settlement agreement agreed to by the superintendent and his lawyers, and you and your lawyers. And there can be no discussion, obviously, in this motion and this dialogue about competence, character, or performance. If there's no further questions, I'll sit down. Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion? At all? Do we have a motion?
Usual protocol in a situation like this, we give 2 to 3 weeks for transition. The public didn't realize exactly which day the last day was for Pedro Martinez, nor the staff. So I think it's only fair if we have at least a 2-week span to transition. 2 to 3 weeks, I don't know. That's usual protocol, but that's just my opinion.
Howard?
I think this has been going on and on long enough. I think we need to make a decision. I would move that the last day be November 4th.
All right.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that the last day for Superintendent Martinez will be November 4th. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
No.
The motion passes. Moving on to the next item. Discussion and possible action regarding the appointment of an interim superintendent. We'll begin with Randy Drake with legal comments. Randy?
Trustees, Superintendent, good afternoon. Randy Drake, Chief General Counsel. As Trustee Vice President McClory indicated, this is interim superintendent matter. Last board meeting, the board requested an action item to be placed on the next board agenda to discuss the process and timeline for hiring an interim superintendent. There are no policy, legal, or statutory limitations on your process and/or timeline. So it is up to you how you go about doing that. So I will now turn this back to Trustee McClory to open the discussion pursuant to the agenda item. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Randy.
Trustee McClary?
Yes, Trustee Clark?
Hi, thank you. I wanted to indicate that we received a letter of interest from Darlene Schottel quite a while back, who has 11 years as superintendent in Kalispell, Montana, 4 years as area superintendent in Washoe County School District. In fact, 17 years in Washoe County School District. Was an area superintendent, the special ed director, and principal while in Washoe. As superintendent, she has the experience to handle and has handled negotiations with associations, management of facilities, legal issues, oversight of the financial information, collaborated with the Board of Trustees, collaborated with the community at large, and has dealt with and understand working with the legislature. She's also been a consultant and provides districts a variety of instructional and leadership services. She's a trainer for state teacher evaluation systems, which is something that we're going and currently are working with. She helps create improvement plans. I believe that she would provide a stable leadership with 11 years experience as superintendent, knowledge, 17 years of knowledge of our school district. She's not interested in applying for the permanent position, and I feel that she would be able to provide independent assessment of district needs and manage our day-to-day responsibilities. I therefore make the motion to hire Darlene Schottel as interim superintendent.
Pending contract negotiations.
Yes, pending contract negotiations.
All right, thank you. Is there a second? John?
I'd like to second that with a little comment, if I may. I've known Darlene since she was a teacher in this district. She is very, very good at special ed. I want to tell you a story. When I was a principal, I had a tough case, special ed, and they were getting pretty boisterous, and so I wanted some help. And I called Darlene. She was at my school in 5 minutes. 5 minutes, and took over the situation and went into a settlement conference with the advocate for the student and the psychologist, and did an outstanding job. Everyone was satisfied, hugged, and went our separate ways. And today that child that she helped through special education services to become a graduate from one of our high schools, Reed High School, and is now a junior at Utah State University. Her touching children one by one is what we need in this time. She's well known by the teachers and the principals, and the kid on the street that needs help, knew that he had a friend in the district. So I am more than happy to second the nomination of Darlene Schottel, Dr. Darlene Schottel.
Thank you very much. Before we begin our discussion, we have a special guest who would like to speak to the issue, who is invited here, who must depart shortly for a board meeting in Douglas County. Superintendent Lisa Noonan. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you. This is a familiar spot to me. Vice President McClory, members of the board, thank you for allowing me a few minutes to speak this afternoon. For the record, my name is Lisa Noonan. I'm the Superintendent of Schools for Douglas County, Nevada. Prior to accepting that position, it was my honor to serve as an administrator for Washoe County for 17 years. I'm here today to offer my support and my recommendation for Darlene Schottel to be your interim superintendent. I first met Dr. Schottel 25 years ago when we were both doctoral students at the University of Nevada studying educational leadership. She was younger, I was thinner. Darlene's ability to balance career, family, and graduate school was something I greatly admired in those days. Even with the long hours and sacrifices required to complete an EDD, Darlene provided a positive attitude and confidence that kept us both on track. When Washoe County later hired me to serve as an elementary principal, Darlene was a wonderful mentor to me. She willingly and regularly shared ideas and strategies that helped me with my students and made sure everyone was succeeding. Again, she set an example with her knowledge, her problem-solving style, and her positive attitude. Over the years, I had the opportunity to observe and learn from Darlene's leadership. She served in many roles during her career in Washoe, from district-wide behavior specialist to school principal, and ultimately assistant superintendent. She is smart, she is hardworking, and she is experienced. She is a careful listener, but after considering the input of others, she will commit to doing what she thinks is right. She possesses a rare ability to handle very difficult situations with unwavering resolve and in a manner that is diplomatic and respectful. Dr. Schottel brings a sense of calm and reassurance to those around her. She never forgets that a little humor and a small amount of appreciation can go a long way with the folks who are out there working hard to make it all happen. When you add her most recent experience as a superintendent of schools to this mix, you have a very special candidate to help you through this transition. My heart goes out to everyone in this room and in this community. This will always be a very special place for me. To the board and this staff, I wish you all the best in your continuing work to serve Washoe County. And to Pedro and your family, it was so nice for me that our paths were able to align and spend some time together. I learned from you as well, and I wish the Martinez family great happiness and success in all the endeavors in your future. Thank you for considering my input.
Thank you, Lisa. I guess I will take my opportunity to speak as well. Pardon me, did you raise your hand?
No, I just thought since Ms. Nunes had the opportunity to speak, I would love, since we're going to go into discussion, to hear from the public on this.
We will hear from the public when we finished our discussion, Estella. Thank you. I also worked with Darlene for over 10 years. I can look at her expertise. She has tremendous expertise, primarily where it deals with differentiation of instruction in relationship to all students. I would expect that she would be a wonderful person to work with because she always has been. Her experience is, as has been pointed out by several individuals, certainly is worthwhile. She knows what classrooms look like. She knows what schools should look like. She knows how central office staff collaborate, mentor in a collegial manner, and cooperate with school-wide staff to help them be better at their job. And overall, I can sum up my feelings about her in a single word, which is excellence. She has climbed the ladder from being a classroom teacher and has become a superintendent. I think as a transitional person in relationship to being an interim, she would be an outstanding candidate. Thank you. Dave?
I just have a question on the motion. I don't see a contract in front of me. It doesn't talk about salary, benefits, but the motion was to hire someone without any of those things filled in. How do you do that? How does that mechanically work?
Brandy?
Trustee Isaac, the motion is pending contract negotiations. We've had several discussions in open meetings since July about superintendent contract issues. I've also had a personal conversation with you about that, I believe, and we've been working on those contract issues since July to rectify any contract issues, contract provisions that are significantly unfavorable to the district and to the Board of Trustees and to, I believe, the public. That is ongoing, and we believe we will be able to work through those issues swiftly.
But without it, I mean, is there a range that we're going to be offering this person this job? It just says contract negotiation with no timeline. If it takes 6 months, what happens in the interim? You know, I just want to be clear about what we're doing here.
And it's very different. Excuse me.
Stella?
It's very different from an internal candidate versus an outside candidate. So what I'm hearing is that we're proposing an outside candidate, which I do respect Darlene. The only thing is that it's apples and oranges. You have Darlene, who oversees a district that's small, 5,600, no diversity. There's no comparison for me in my mind. But anyways, but I do concur with you, Dave, as far as, you know, is this an external, you know, this would be a totally different contract, Randy, versus an internal candidate that, you know, efficiency would be more favorable in that sense. Anyhow, are we in discussion now? Do I continue, or do we go into public comment? Because I could continue.
No, we're not finished. Barbara Clark, you have something to say on the issue of the salary?
Yes, I did call her up, and I did have a conversation following up to her letter of interest to us, and asked her what her salary range would be, and she has indicated that she absolutely does not believe that an interim would be paid anywhere near what the ongoing superintendent would be paid. She's not looking at this position as for the salary, but wants to help the school district during this interim period. And I think we have to remember that the board as a whole would have to vote on whatever contract and whatever the salary is. So this item has to come back to the board as a whole after the contract has been negotiated for the board to vote on and for the public to be able to comment on. So I don't think that we're saying anything to the impact that salary or anything is not going to be done without the full board's authority behind it.
Yes, Stella?
I think everybody knows here, and the audience knows, that I had proposed an internal candidate, and I placed that person on the table. In fact, that was the actual motion, I thought. But anyhow, having said that, you know, with regards to Darlene, I think that's going outside of this district. My concern is, what does that say to our leadership? What does that say as far as a message to our deputy superintendent? I guess my question is, why not the deputy superintendent?
And Vice President McCleary, can I add one more thing?
Yes.
I did have a conversation with the deputy superintendent over a week ago, indicating that we did have an agenda item on this agenda that would indicate a possibly, depending on what the board decided, an end date for Superintendent Martinez, and indicated to her at that time that I would presume that as deputy superintendent, she would be oversight of the school district until the board made a decision regarding the interim. And so obviously, I have personally a very high regard for Tracy. I think that she can certainly, as deputy superintendent, it's logical that she would oversee the district until we do have officially have an interim on board Again, however, I think experience as a superintendent is something that we currently need as we go through this process.
Thank you. Excuse me.
So I just want,
Estella.
so I'm glad that we agree with that you have high regard with our deputy superintendent, because for me, that's very valuable. Then that means that she should be honored to be the interim superintendent, not just a temporary situation. So I just wanted to make sure that we're on the same page on that. Dave, I think.
Aye, Dave.
To Barbara Clark, President Clark, you've had discussions with Mrs. Schottel, Dr. Schottel. Can you tell us then what is the salary range that was being discussed? What were the benefits that you discussed with her? I'm not going anything outside of what I didn't say at the last meeting, is before we go out and hire someone, we should put the parameters down. So what are the range are we looking at?
Well, as she said again, I asked her, and she said she would leave that totally up to this board to decide. She's not here for the money. She does not expect to be paid anywhere near where a permanent superintendent would be. So if the board wanted to put a range on it at this point in time, they could do so. She is truly because they are moving back here, truly wants to be able to step in and work with the current board through this situation with the experience and skill sets that she has.
And can you follow up with me, since it was your motion, and tell me what applies to Dr. Schottel that doesn't apply to Tracy Davis?
Yes, I can. Again, as I indicated, it's the 11 years experience as a superintendent, dealing with all the areas within the school district, from negotiations to management of facilities, the legal, the financing, collaboration with the Board of Trustees, etc. Her 17 years experience in Washoe County School District. So again, I have deep respect for the deputy superintendent. However, I feel in our current circumstances that the experience as the superintendent and the experience of 17 years in the school district is very important. And clearly working with the legislature as well as we go forward, that experience.
So can you answer me one more question on this? Do you equate a school district with a $40 million budget to one with an $800 million budget and say those are similar? I mean, it was in North Dakota, I think it was.
No, it's Montana. It's Montana.
It's next door.
You know, I consider that a rural district. How does that relate to what we do here?
And
well, I would say that the skill sets to deal with all the arenas within the school district, from negotiations to everything concerned, is something that certainly can be translated into a bigger budget. When she was the area superintendent, she oversaw 25 sites that can be translated into all the arenas within the school district. She's had to deal with every arena within the school district, management of buildings, the facilities, the legal issues, the collaboration with the board. So again, having done that, I think can translate very well into the larger aspect, as well as everything is not done by the superintendent alone, but by, with the help of the 8,000 staff people that we have.
John?
I know that Darlene was on the upper management team at IGT, and that's no small corporation. And I think that she would bring that business experience to the table, along with her many, many years of education.
Thank you. Estella?
obviously, you all know that I'm not going to support this, but I just can't. It's just like Dave said, there's no comparison. She doesn't have an experience with a larger district, especially with diversity, with achievement gap, on the things that we actually, have issues with. She doesn't know our culture. We have somebody coming to our district, and we expect them to know everything. No way. And legislatures, okay, she might have all the experiences in the world, but she doesn't know our legislatures at this moment. She has no relationships here. She has no community involvement here. This is an interim situation. That's it. I'm appalled. And for the public, I have to tell you, I've been very patient up to now. And I've struggled with this agenda. And just until Thursday did I know that this agenda was going to be on this agenda. Okay? So obviously there is a current to have another person, which I'm glad we're doing that as far as transparency. That's why we're here. But I cannot support Darlene for this. There is no comparison. You can't have somebody outside come to our district and expect them to know everything. It's not going to be a smooth transition. And for me, I'm appalled that we're sending the wrong message to our leadership and to our public. That's my stand at this point.
Thank you.
I respectfully disagree. I think one of the most important things might be to bring someone in from outside with a clear eye and a clean eye and look at the situation that we have. Tracy Davis, I think, is probably one of the most wonderful people I've ever met. I think she does a dynamite job. I don't want to lose her in any way, shape, or form. But I really believe that this may be the time that we need to go outside, have someone come in and take a look at us in some way that is very, very different. And the culture part of it, culture changes every 20 minutes. It all depends upon where you are, who you are, and where you're up against. So for me, that's no problem. Any more than anybody else coming in from outside would have the same problem. You learn culture, and you learn it quickly.
Lisa?
I think Deputy Davis knows how I feel about her. I think she's phenomenal and has done a phenomenal job. And we work very well together. And I tell her this all the time. She is brilliant when it comes to handling the large amount of parent complaints that I get, which happens almost on a daily basis, and she's been flawless. She and her team have been flawless. And, a lot of people don't realize that that's a really big part of a trustee's job, is working with our outside constituents and the parents, because every parent, their child is the most important person in the world, and we have 63,000 children, and so we're dealing with a lot of parents. And so the service that Deputy Davis and her staff have provided to me as a trustee, and the tone that they have set, and the very challenging problems that she has been involved with solving, there are no words to there are no words that I even have to describe my respect and love for her as our deputy superintendent, and the honor that she has treated me as a trustee. And I'm so appreciative of that. And I want to echo what Howard is saying, that you are so valuable to this board, and you are so valuable to this school district, and you are so valuable to this community. And this is very, very challenging time. And so I hope as a board that we can come to some sort of compromise in this discussion today, because this is in no way any type of judgment on Deputy Davis. I think that this is a challenging time for our district, and we need to do everything we can to honor Deputy Davis. And I'm kind of seeing the writing on the wall, and so I think what I would like to propose is that we honor our support for Deputy Davis. One of the things that has been challenging for me as a trustee is not knowing exactly the chain of command sometimes. So So I would like to see Deputy Davis elevated in some way, showing our support. I'm big on mentoring. I think she has the potential and the skill set to be a superintendent. And I think we have a responsibility as a board of trustees to mentor and to provide leadership opportunities for all of our leadership cabinet, not just Deputy Davis, to Kristen, to all of the folks in the superintendent's cabinet. And I think as a board, we have to make that known. So I would like to see some discussion about moving forward with Deputy Davis.
Thank you. And Dave?
Yeah, I'm a little bit flummoxed here, to tell you the truth, because I think if you're going to do this the right way, if you're going to go outside, then there should be a public process set up to do that right side, to go outside and say, we're going to do it for this long. Please. So that everyone has a chance. This person certainly might rise to the top to do that. There's no talk of how long interim is for the public to know that with the motion it wasn't for 3 weeks or 3 months or 3 years. So there's no notice of how long that's going to be. I know we did also got an email from some of the bargaining groups that they'd like to be involved in the process of hiring someone. And I was going to propose something sort of the opposite, was that we would make Tracy Davis the interim superintendent. And if we felt that she needs mentoring, we can bring this person on and let her work in the district and have her be the deputy superintendent and work that way instead of the other way around.
Yeah.
So that you would get that elevation that you say and honor her the way that she deserves to be honored. And bring someone in from a much smaller school district to come in as the deputy superintendent to help with the transition. And that way, when the board decides to go out and do the final approach on who's actually going to be the full-time, you can take your time doing that. It can be 6 months from now and work that out and figure out how that's going to go. Because I read everything I could read about this person. She seems wonderful, but there might be 1 million people out there that fit the same criteria if you go out to the outside to do that. And we owe it to the public to go through that process for that. But I have no problem bringing someone in as, I just know when I was reading about her last year when she quit her job as superintendent, she said she wasn't looking to be a superintendent anywhere else. That was her quote in the newspaper.
In fact, I have it right here.
So maybe, and going from that side of the school district to this one is certainly not close to retirement, which is what she was looking for. It's going to be the exact opposite of what she wanted her life. I don't see a reason we can't get a win-win out of this and get 2 very qualified people to work in this district.
Pedro?
So I wasn't going to say anything, but I actually appreciate the fact that my item came first, so that way I have nothing to gain or lose here now. So first of all, I just want to echo the compliments that Tracy has had. And so here's what I would just share with the trustees and the community for what it's worth. You're going to enter into one of the most difficult legislative sessions that you're ever going to see. The reality is that there's already many individuals that see what's going on in our district and see it as an opportunity, frankly, to maximize on reallocation of resources and do other things. In the long run, I think because our district has such good academic results and we have the credibility in the state, I think we'll be okay. But I will tell you that one of my worries is that we have so many good things going on in our schools, and trustees have made positive comments in the past, even in the last 3 months, of all the great things that are going on. We have a ways to go. I worry about bringing somebody that hasn't been here for 11 years, and I've been here, third year superintendent, 5 years in Nevada, and I can tell you what this community looked like 11 years ago is day and night to what it looks like today. What our legislature looks like 11 years ago compared to what it looks like today is day and night. Tracy is a quiet leader, but I will tell you she is well known. She is respected. She was respected, but I can call any legislative leader, and remember the South has the majority of the numbers. And she is well known throughout the South. She's well known throughout the North. And more importantly for me, our high schools right now are doing such amazing work, and they're going to continue to build on the graduation gains we've had the last couple of years, but they're working really hard. And when you create uncertainty by somebody coming in who hasn't been here for 11 years, it has the potential to disrupt things. Our leadership team works as a team. And having somebody who they know and is stable, again, can promote that. Once you go to a permanent superintendent, that's a whole different story. That's a whole different process. And I will say this, I do think it is, no matter how much you compliment Tracy Davis, it is a significant message you send when you don't, as an interim, it's an interim, keep that in mind, not the permanent, it's an interim, when you don't allow the deputy superintendent to take the place of it as an interim, which is a short amount of time, which the board sets, gives you a chance to look for a permanent replacement, whether it's and I don't know this individual, so nothing against her, but to me, it does send a strong message to both the community, it sends a strong message to the staff, and unfortunately, no matter how you compliment Ms. Davis, it doesn't change that message.
Thank you. Stella.
And that's what I was trying to say to Trustee Rosenberg. I know if you're talking about outside, that's a perfect situation for when you have those discussions for the permanent superintendent. We're just talking about someone's, interim. And so I don't know about you, if you put it in this context. So let's say you're Board of Regents. Maria is the president. So are you saying that you would never give the opportunity to Jane Nichols, as the next person?
I would answer that, but I will also say that Dr. Nichols supports someone from outside coming in. She called to tell me that.
And I had those conversations with her too.
Fine.
So
apples and oranges or apples and bananas,
We're
they don't work.
we're talking about an interim, and
I understand
and
that.
I'm looking at also as a trustee, one thing also that we need to look at is the cost of this. So we're willing to say that we're going to spend more money hiring somebody from the outside. That's another contract.
Well, we're not certainly going to ask Deputy
No, but
Superintendent
it's
Davis.
a percentage.
Into a two-way conversation.
I'm sorry.
Excuse me, but
That's
it
all
is
right.
a percentage, just so that everybody knows.
Fine.
It would be a percentage.
Wonderful.
But anyhow, I've said enough, I think.
I think so too.
All right, are we ready to call for public comment?
Yes.
All right, Reverend Glenn Taylor from Greater Light Christian Center. Welcome, Reverend Taylor.
Thank you. I really don't need a mic, as you can tell. And I have to say that to the Washoe County School District Board of Trustees, as well as to all of you that are represented here, Superintendent Pedro Martinez, and to one I've known over all these years, Dave Iazzi, from the City of Reno days. There was a comment that was made, and I'm just really appalled of the fact that you're overlooking. I know you're giving accolades. It's kind of saying like these are honorable men, kind of cliche. You know what I mean? You're giving Deputy Tracy all the accolades, but you don't seem to understand that what she's doing in the community right now is more than enough to be your interim superintendent. And then I had, he probably won't admit it, but I had Dr. Howard years ago. I took one of his art classes, which was amazing in the early 70s. Look, he's with his head down. But one of the things that he said today stood out of my mind. And he said he wanted somebody to come in with a fresh approach. And I'm trying to figure out how in the world this person has such a fresh approach when Barbara Clark and John Meyer both have known her over the years with respect to this area. I mean, how fresh is that? And I'm saying to myself, even though she may have disappeared from the area, now she's coming back. I don't see that as freshness. I see that as something warmed over, trying to fill the freshness that we already have. And so with this last minute and 23 seconds, I'd like to say that I appreciate Trustee Iazzi and the comments from even Trustee Rosenberg. Yeah, I got it. Yes, I did get it. And those of you that are here, I just want you to know that as I've been in this community since 1970, actually late 69, 1970, and I've seen the work the Superintendent Martinez has done since he's been here and all of his predecessors. I've seen this board change over the years, and I just want you to know, you don't go forward by going backwards. And this is a great opportunity for this board to prove more than just your existence as a board, to this community. I believe that we ought to consider, and I know you don't want to get involved in that, you know, we're not going to go into any racial issues and all that. Forget all that stuff. I'm talking about, look at the person that you're dealing with here, who has the qualifications, who's been doing the job primarily as a deputy, and just for an interim position, come on. You know, that's a slap in the face to her. Compliment her after you give her the interim superintendent position. And that's all I have to say. And thank you for this time.
Thank you, Reverend Taylor. Nathan Dupree.
Remember, I taught you about interpretation.
Welcome, Nathan.
Thank you. Yes, Nathan Dupree, just a community member, director of a program in the school district. I love working with the school district. Hope that we could be a support and help to this board and to this community at this time. In regard to Tracy Davis, she has been someone here who's been phenomenal in the school district and working with communities, building relationship in community, and has gotten to know this community. And she's someone who represents this community. When we look at our community now and we look at the diversity of this community, she represents that. And she's been doing the work, and great compliments. But complimenting her and not allowing her again to step into the interim position really is what I believe is a slap in the face. You know, one of the things we have been, I think, desperately working on is the trust of this board with the community and the way they handle business and the way they go about conducting the business of the school district with this community. And right now, I don't know if it's in a very good place right now, even for this step of passing her up and not even giving her a chance to be in that place. And so, again, I'm just echoing concerns about, again, the integrity and the trust of this board. And again, we want to be a community of people and pastors that's here helping the school district, supporting the school district, doing whatever we can in the school district to help through this process. But we are definitely concerned, and we definitely want to be heard throughout this process. And we want to see the right process happen, the right things happen in this process. And you guys have an opportunity to do that and to prove that. And we definitely hope to see that. And that, again, trust is again regained in the school district from the actions that you take. Thank you.
Thank you, Nathan. Do we have George Hardaway? George, is he here? Reverend Dupree, did you wish to speak as well?
Yes, and thank you very much, Chairman, or Acting Chairman. I'm Reverend Dupree, Bishop Dupree from the Churches of God in Christ in Northern Nevada area. And we certainly have worked with Tracy for the length of time she has been here. She's certainly proven herself certainly a viable candidate to serve the position. And as I heard them talk about the recommended candidate moving, I don't see that too much as an interim, even though we talk interim, but it sounds like it's an interim hoping to go into a permanent. And so we have someone here that can fit the bill, can do the job, that is in the heart of the community, and I certainly think it would be more than a slap in the face if we don't at least give her the opportunity. She served as the vice, and since she serves as the vice, I think it would be appropriate to let the vice serve out the term until we get the new interim. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes.
2 minutes. Thank you, Pastor Michael Randall, Second Baptist Church, and standing with the pastors in this community and an agreement. Again, this job that you all have has to be difficult. In light of some of the things that have happened since July, it's probably even more difficult. I can't imagine the phone calls that you all receive regarding whether you did the right thing or whether you did the wrong thing. However, I think and I hope that you all would see that there is a serious trust issue right now in the community. Not that you all have had any intentions to do anything wrong, but the picture, the perspective, the image to the community is that. And by the standing of just these pastors and these community leaders, we still see a small, it's like you take a glass of milk and put one drop of chocolate in it and the color changes. I still see that, and I don't want to see that. I want to believe that what you believe is right now you have someone who's done the job, and to take away all mistrust, put someone who you know can do the job because she's doing it daily, provide any support that she might need because it's only interim, and then put all your resources into trying to find someone who can take the job as full and permanent superintendent.
Thank you.
Norris Dupree, and first of all, thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to speak. Barbara McClure, I had the privilege when I was in second grade, you and Dr. Holloway gave me a gift for reading the most books in the summer school. And I still have the picture. I still have the picture. And, you know, one of the things I just like to talk about is I like to talk about perception. And because perceptions come from many different angles, and we were talking about culture, and of course, culture has its own perception because it's really steeped in the position that what people have experienced. And just because you have an experience doesn't mean that it happens, because then that's when we get into the perception of superiority versus inferiority. And one of the things that I listened to today here, just here as everyone is talking, and it's to me it's just like sincere. What's the term for it? It's sincere. It's almost like wrapped in unconscious bias that you're trying to somehow esteem someone for a position. And most definitely when I read her resume, I mean, she would be good for doing something. But at the same time, to cross over somebody that has been putting in the work, and somebody said, well, she's good one-on-one working with people. And I'm saying, yeah, but your graduation rates are up. And that lets me know that this district, that the individuals, that your leadership are good one-on-one working with people. I mean, there are programs now that where people are going from door to door, talking to parents, getting them involved in school. We didn't have that before. There's programs now where they're going to talk to churches and ministers and elders and saying, look, you need to get involved with mentorship. We didn't have that before. There's programs now working with UNR and working with the educational program. We didn't have that before. And you're going to trade what you are the cutting edge of this, and you're going to trade that for somebody to come in and try to create a new culture. And honestly, if I have somebody like, I don't know, Pedro Martinez, I guess he's a baseball player and he's up the bat, and I say, wait a minute, let's bring someone else in, and Pedro Martinez have just hit 3 home runs. I'm like, what is the coach thinking? You know, I have to challenge the coach thinking, like, really? You're gonna put somebody else up the bat? Look, all I'm saying is the cutting edge is here. We can either go back or we can take a step forward into something great. And as a community, I'm willing to side with you and say, let's keep this thing going forward, and our graduation rate, let's keep it pursuing to the place that it needs to be and continue to do good things in this community.
Thank you, Nathan. George?
Superintendent Pedro Martinez and all the trustees. My name is George Hardaway, and I'm a retired educator with the Washoe County School District. I worked 36 years in the Washoe County School District. I've been in this community for 46 years. And I tell you, in the past 3 to 4 years, I was very happy with the changes that I saw. In all due respect, Trustee Howard Rosenberg. Darlene Shuttle is not an outsider. I know her. I worked with her for many years in this district. We attended meetings. We attended conferences. We attended social gatherings together. And I saw a lack of awareness and understanding, appreciation, and a lack of sensitivity regarding diversity when I was in conversations with her on many occasions. I'm here to say that I support Deputy Superintendent Tracy Davis as the interim. I'm here to say that because my heart is full. I've always said that nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And this young lady really, really cares about this community. I have been associated with her and built a relationship with her in this community. Most of you know that I am associated with quite a few different organizations. Most of you know that. I've stood before you representing those organizations. And I want you to know that she is deeply in the trenches out there, making a difference in our community, building relationships with parents, building relationships with our children. And I tell you, I'm here because I'm concerned about the directions that we're going with this. Yes, people outside this community knows what's going on in Hartford, Connecticut, where I have many relatives who are in education. They know in Chicago, where I have relatives, know what kind of school board we have here right now. My trust is sinking deep. My trust in you all. I need to understand where you're coming from because I see different masks being projected at me. I only want to see one mask from each and every one of you. Talking out both sides of your mouth just cannot get it with me. You can't do that because you know what? I care. I care about this community. That's why I stay here. That's why I stay here to do my work as a concerned individual for our children, to be that role model for them, to let them know that they didn't have to get on drugs, that they didn't have to end up in prison, that they didn't have to get pregnant, that you can soar. And I have some right here in this audience that I have impacted. I have impacted their lives. And I'm here to say to you, there are more that I'm working with in this community. So please, please understand that Tracy Davis is going to be supported by George Hardaway and all my associates. Please understand that. Thank you.
Thank you, George.
And by the way, I'm not a pastor either.
Well, you should have been with that voice.
Ben Hayes.
You know how hard this is for me, I'm sure. Dear trustees, I come to you to comment as a parent of district students, as a staff member, and as a longtime champion of our school district. My comment is one of concern that has at length come into clear focus. Our district brand of the past several years has been one of striving for excellence, and in my 15 years here, I have worked with the attitude that the public has entrusted us with their resources and with their children so that we can build a more excellent community. The discussion today seems to betray a continued contempt for our district, and more importantly for our community. The legal issues and the circus acts of the past 3 months need no more comment except to say that mediation should have provided resolution weeks ago. Yet here we sit, still divided, still not focused on kids. That the Board of Trustees cannot, as a body, recognize the need to move for at least some temporary continuity by appointing an internal leader to put this behind us and continue our progress strikes me as a slap in the face of the progress that has been made. And this district community has made progress, indeed. More children are walking across the graduation stage than ever before. More of them than ever before are equipped on their way to college with the momentum of advanced and honors diplomas in AP and IB courses. And more than ever, our students are indeed going to college. This isn't overall, this is in nearly every one of our student populations. That's excellence. And that's one example of the great things that's going on up and down our pathway to excellence that this board adopted several years ago. So to imply that someone needs to come from the outside to rescue this district, that implication sends a clear message to our students, to our parents, to our teachers, to our principals, and to our staff that their work has been backward or mediocre. My comment is to ask you to stop with the distractions and let us get back to the work of the students. I'm one of the many people who work hard and tirelessly for this district, but it is tiresome hearing that our district has a black eye and that it's lost its integrity. I bleed for our students, you know that. It shouldn't be lost on any of us that this Every Child by Name and Face banner is not in our boardroom anymore. There are myriad examples of excellence that are drowned out right now by all of this. Let's re-engage that excellence. Let's move forward, please. Thank you.
Allison Kendrick.
Good afternoon. I am here on behalf, I am Allison Kendrick, the principal, or the Washoe School Principal Association president, and I'm here on behalf of members, 200 plus administrators in our school district, principals, assistant principals, and district administrators. Board of Trustees just wanted to be transparent that we had sent you all a letter earlier in the week asking you to consider a process in which to appoint an interim superintendent. And our purpose is not to endorse any one person, but our purpose is to please consider the voice of the district and the employees that work in it. Unfortunately, many times these meetings are 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and we are working in our schools and we are working with kids, and coming to meetings and being able to give public comment is not something that we get a chance to do. And so we would like to, on behalf of the administrators, we would like to encourage you to consider the voice of district employees when making this decision, whether it be for an internal candidate or an external candidate. As I mentioned, I'm not here to say one way or the other, but we do want a voice, we deserve a voice, and as Ben eloquently put it, we're wanting to get back on the focus of what needs to happen here in our district to move us forward. And so please consider slowing down the process if needed, whatever needs to happen, but please make sure that people are given an ample opportunity to express their opinions outside of just public, although I know the public is a very important part of this process, so are the employees that work in our schools. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Allison. Daryl Feemster. Welcome, Daryl.
Very interesting. I think I know all of you fairly well at one point or another. You've been my principal or my teacher or someone else that's given me some advice or suggestions. I am here as a parent of a grandchild that is in Washoe County School District, as a citizen that's born and raised in Reno, Nevada, and as an individual who has had family members invest over 100 years of work within Washoe County School District. If you combine the years that the different relatives in my family have worked in the different schools throughout this district, I have a great amount of respect for you all. I've served in public office for a short time with Mr. Ayazi, and I know you get it. You really get it. And so I respect the work you do, and I understand the few thanks you get and the many complaints. So I just ask you on today that you all, in making this decision, would choose a direction of following what we as a community understood today's agenda item to be, which was to work on moving someone internal in the system through the system as we thought it was, or if this board is going to select to consider an outside candidate, that you would open that process up to more than individuals that you may know personally, so that the entire community would be aware that there is an opportunity to get into the process. Again, I have a tremendous amount of respect for the work you do. I know that for every hour you sit here, you spend 24 hours somewhere else trying to review the items on the agenda and be aware of what is going on. I have not had a opportunity to really interact with the superintendent or the next superintendent, but I will tell you that in this community, from conversations that I've had and in watching, because I have been working in this community with youth and young people for 30 years now. That is what I do. That is my compassion, young people. And Barbara, we had an opportunity and we did great things. And I thank you all. I appreciate you all. And I really hope that we will choose on today to continue in the path that I believe most of the community thought we were coming to hear about, or if there's another path being chosen, that we make that aware to the public so that anyone and everyone can have the opportunity, not just a couple of people that we may have chosen to notify. Thank you.
For the record,
Darryl?
Mr. Feemster was on the city council during the retract, so he knows what he's talking about when he says he's felt the heat before.
All right, that concludes our public comment. Is that correct?
Got someone else.
Oh,
I turned in a yellow card with.
For 3.03, Mr. Farmer, but if it's.
Oh, you're up.
I'm up. Thanks, Randy. So really following on, I just scribbled down some thoughts, but listening to the prior speakers, what Darryl's talking about really is the process. And my first word that I scribbled down a half hour ago was transparency. After all we've been through, all of us collectively, transparency should be front and center. So we go through this, Barbara Clark reads a letter. Before other trustees talk, somebody from the audience is allowed to speak. And then we go back to the trustees, and then we go to public comment. That sounds rather non-transparent, rather pre-planned. And I think, actually, you mentioned that, Estella. Barbara's had conversations with this lady, and I don't know her, but she's had conversations with this lady about pay. Is it higher? Is it lower? You're already down the tracks on this thing. That's not transparent. I think it gets to your point, Lisa. You're cooking the books here, and yet we don't have any process to fall back on what Darryl just said. So I think we have to slow down the process, and Dave, you mentioned it too. I have to say, as some of the pastors said, everybody said, oh, Tracy's great, but not this time. She's the deputy superintendent. If she's great, then make her the interim. And to me, the interim is interim, point A to point B. I guess point A is November 4th for Pedro. Point B is sometime in the near future. So an interim person, we don't have to reinvent the wheel here, and so I'll pick up on what Ben Hayes said, is this stuff, the district is on a good track. Why bring in somebody new? She was here before, but 11 years have passed. She's in a very vanilla district. The pastors talk about the need for somebody who understands diversity. Doesn't sound like you get much diversity in Montana. And so I think you need to look at the interim as being the interim, look at the deputy as the deputy, next in line. I would support Tracy, but I'd also just support a better process and be transparent, please. Thank you.
thank you, Jim. All right, we have a motion on the floor.
More discussion?
More discussion? Oh, Dave?
If I could, yeah, there's a couple things from the public comment and from my own thoughts and what I've been working on this weekend. I think someone from the public said it, I'm going to paraphrase, but the school district isn't broken. So to say we need someone from the outside to come and have fresh eyes on it, I don't know what's broken about it. And this is the same thing I said last time, that I don't think the next superintendent has to be a person who has new ideas or great things, because we have the plan. We just need someone that will stick to the plan. The point about the legislature, when you have someone who has worked in Washoe County, was the principal of the year 3 years ago in Clark County, to think that she won't have some influence over those legislators from Clark County, she probably has better relationships with them than anyone in this room does, except for maybe Lindsay. So I don't know how that would hurt with the legislature. Also, what I did over the weekend was look at just the simple mathematics and costs of this. I know the newspaper was wrong by saying how much this has cost the district with the superintendent. They were off by $60,000. But after the insurance, which is not self-insured, by the way, speaking of transparency, that leaves us with $135,000 that has to come from taxpayers. And the math that I worked out is if we elevate Tracy Davis to that position, give her a $3,000 a month increase, and she served until June 10th of 2015, this whole thing would be even wash with the taxpayers. So when you go to the legislature and say, yes, this all happened, but we didn't cost the taxpayers any money, and we thought about that, I think that has a lot to say too going into the legislative session. Not we're going to go spend another $200,000 on top of it with wages and benefits. So I think that has to be part of what's talking about. And I don't know how someone can say this is in no way a judgment of Deputy Davis. In my opinion, it sort of is. So I'm not going to support the motion. In fact, if it goes forward, I think you should go forward with how much you want to pay this person. There's no time frame on how long it would take. Who's going to be the acting director in the meantime if it takes 6 months to come to a contract? It's a very vague motion in my mind for us to discuss what that is. What does it really mean we're going to hire this person? Does that mean that person is going to start on Wednesday? Does it mean they're going to start January 1st? I don't understand what the motion really means for continuity for this district.
And I would have, I'm sorry. Barbara.
Yes, Stella.
And I would have to concur with Trustee Ayazi. And you know, I've been here for a while now, and I sat with three of you when we were doing the strategic plan, and I remember this conversation, especially when it came to hiring diversity. And we had this long conversation about empowering our staff and making sure, especially for those who do not have the ELL endorsements, that do not have the special needs endorsements and so forth, but to basically empower within, especially good people. You know, this is an interim position. It's just interim. Everything we're discussing as far as process and everything is something for the permanent position. For me, this is, you know, continuing with our, making sure that it's a smooth transition. It's empowering someone who's doing an excellent job, and I think she could do this immediately, which is Tracy Davis, and I mentioned that before. I'm not too sure why this is so hard, and I would hope that especially the three trustees that were with me in 2010 will remember that conversation. And we put it part of our plan, strategic plan, that we would hire diverse personnel, okay? I find that insulting. So I think that we have a person internally that knows our culture, that knows our staff, that has worked hard and knows our legislatures and works well with all of us. And I would really, really want this board to really seriously think about what they're gonna do from a perspective, okay? From a perspective.
Howard?
The diversity factor. Why is Deputy Davis diverse?
When it comes to the diversity factor, that conversation in 2010, that we would hire more people of color. You know, that we would hire more people of color, that we would have that opportunity. Now, that's just one segment. Howard, I just want you to say that's just one segment. I'm not saying this is the only reason we would hire Deputy Superintendent.
I agree. As it happens,
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Okay, thank you.
But I don't care whether or not she's white, purple, green, or orange. She's dynamite lady. Agreed.
Thank you.
All right. Any other comments?
I'd like to propose an amendment to the motion.
I
I'd like to amend the motion that the salary be no more than $116,000, which is what she made in Montana, and that it lasts for no longer than 6 months.
Oh, you're talking about
The motion, if this
The
woman's
motion.
hired. At least there's some contingencies on it, so
Yeah.
the public knows what's going on.
There has to be a second to that motion to modify.
Okay. So we're telling the public we're gonna hire someone, and we have no idea what we're paying them. We have no idea what the term is. We have no idea what the benefits are, but we're gonna hire them.
I can't hire this person. I'm not
You're-
voting for this.
I think you're editorializing here.
That's what we're
All
doing
right,
here, isn't
let's
it?
move the question. We have a motion on the floor. Would you read the motion, please, JJ, so everyone will be refreshed?
So the motion was to hire Darlene Schottel as interim superintendent pending contract negotiations.
All right, is everyone clear on the motion? All right, all of those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed?
No.
No.
Barbara, did you get your vote registered? All right, the ayes have it.
I know, that's a no sound.
Sorry.
Well, here I thought
No.
Barbara voted for the motion. Barbara, are you still there?
No.
No?
No.
Ran out of
Oh,
minutes.
well, I thought she was there.
Sorry, who were the nays again?
Yes, I'm here.
Can everybody
I
raise
No.
their
voted
hand?
yes for the motion.
All right, we'll call for the vote again, and everyone will
I'm sorry.
No.
How do you
Pardon
call
me.
for a vote again?
Who were the nays? That's the question.
Who's the nays?
Dave and Howard and Estella.
The nays have it.
Oh,
The nays have it.
Pardon me,
4-3.
I didn't see your hand, Lisa. All right, so,
May I make a comment, please?
Trustee McCleary, can I ask how my vote was recorded?
It was a yay.
it was a yay. It was yours was yay, mine was yay, and John's was a yay, and everyone else
Okay.
was nay, including Lisa
Thank you.
Ruggiero. Okay, and Dave and Howard. All right, Estella?
I would like to move that we hire Tracy Davis as our interim superintendent through June 10th of 2015.
I'd like to.
I'll second that for discussion.
We're still in discussion.
All right, discussion of that particular motion?
I would like to have an opportunity to think this over with a plan that, you know, from what I'm hearing from some of our constituents, and talk about getting some feedback from our staff as recommended by the association, and also by members of the community, and put this on hold until, you know, even for another week or so. But I think it's important that we solicit some feedback.
Dave?
I'd like to ask the same questions I had before, the pay. You know, I think it should be no more than $3,000 more a month to take that responsibility up. But the other part about postponing it or talking about, I think that's exactly what this motion would do. I think it allows the Board of Trustees to have someone at the helm who is at the helm through the election, and see who's sitting here at the table in January. And I think in February, this board should start thinking about the process for hiring the permanent. And you'd have all the way from February until June 1st to establish that process and move forward that way. This also wouldn't preclude, voting for this wouldn't preclude the district from hiring this person also to help out in the special education, which I think we need to have someone help in that area. So it doesn't preclude having that person on board either. So if we could make that the monetary figures part of the motion, that would make me happier.
Okay, we're still in discussion, aren't we?
Right. Trustee Gutierrez, for procedural purposes, would you agree with that $3,000 addition to that motion? As part of your second, are you agreeing to that?
As far as,
Limiting the salary.
The salary increase.
okay, okay, I will amend it. I think, we're still in discussion. Trustee Ruggiero, I think that we are gonna need someone at the helm, or at least as an interim. I think that as far as a process, this is an opportunity for you and the new board to take time with the community to do that for a permanent superintendent. And so I think that there's an urgency for us to take action today, in my opinion.
I agree.
And that's where leaders come into play.
And I would agree with that.
Well, we have a motion and a second.
I don't want to neglect what I've heard from the public as far as them wanting some input.
They had the input.
Major input.
They've had the input if you read their information. So, any more discussion on this motion?
Do it.
Now, would you please read the motion back, JJ?
Poor JJ.
The motion would be to hire Deputy Superintendent Tracy Davis as interim superintendent through June 10th, 2015, with a stipend of no more than $3,000 a month.
All right.
Increase.
We'll fix that. We'll fix that.
All right, all of those in favor, please raise your hand and say aye so I can count.
Aye.
1, 2, 4, 5, 6. And Trustee Clark, we have our hands raised. What is your hand raised as an aye?
Correct.
Yes, all right, then there is overwhelming support for this motion. Tracy Davis will be our new interim superintendent. All right, we will take a 10-minute break and come back and do the item on the new trustee. All right, we are now back in session to consider item 3.03, consideration of the timeline for interviews by the Board of Trustees of applicants to fill the vacancy on the board created by the announced intention of Trustee David Ayazi in District E to resign from the board effective November 4th, 2014, and of the meeting dates for the Board of Trustees to select the new trustee. All right. I did it.
You did.
All right, do we have some discussion about that in relationship, and Randy will begin?
Trustees, Superintendent Martinez, Randy Drake, Chief General Counsel. This is a trustee vacancy discussion and possible action. As you know from your previous board meeting, the application process was opened and it was closed Monday, October 27th at 5 p.m., yesterday at 5 p.m. At that time, at the closing of the application process, we have received 17 applications. Those have all been copied and put into binders to be delivered to the trustees for review and reference. The applications and information will be posted on the district website at the same time. And that's the information we have. And now, pursuant to the agenda item, you are free to determine the next steps in this process, and the timeline. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. And we will receive all of the information from the candidates this afternoon. Lisa Scurry has them all nicely bound in notebooks for each one of us. Estella?
So discussion as far as process, if it's okay with everyone, I mean, the next steps would be, at least I'm just going by what happened when I was appointed the first time, would be for us to review the applications and then come up with the top 5 candidates and then schedule them for a meeting, which I think, do you have comments about that? When
I open for timing whenever you guys want to have that meeting, and then I think where you're going is have a second meeting with the finalists. I would suggest not necessarily limiting it to 5 because you haven't seen the application, so you may want less, you may want more depending on the applications. But that's again open for discussion and action.
5, I mean, whatever the top number would be, and that's open for discussion. And then, have for us to review them, and then have a meeting for the interview. A scheduled meeting for the interview, and then for us to have the questions prior to that interview. So I'm not too sure who created the questions. When each of the candidates came up, we were given the opportunity to look at the questions prior and be prepared, and for each person to answer the same questions.
I don't know if HR was responsible for that or if the board made their questions. I don't recall. Do you, anyone else? Barbara, do you remember that? Are you there?
Yeah, I think we made up the questions.
Yeah,
I think we got to not show the questions to the people. I think we get a better response if they have to do off the cuff.
I think the board primarily prepared the questions, as Trustee Gutierrez indicated in the previous process. The candidates, the finalists, were provided the questions. That is, of course, up to you.
All right, what is your pleasure?
So we're deciding whether or not we give them the questions ahead of time, or
First,
well, that's one thing.
First, I would suggest coming to an agreement on a time
Date,
frame for
yeah.
the 2 meetings.
When's our next regularly scheduled meeting?
I think there was some potential discussion.
It was Veterans Day.
Right. Veterans Day is November 11th, and that's a Tuesday. That would be the first scheduled November meeting. So, I believe we were discussing having a meeting on November 13th to review the applications.
Mr. Drake, the next scheduled meeting is November 18th because Veterans Day is a holiday.
Unless the board schedules another meeting in the interim
Special meeting. I think we need to.
to review applications.
Does the 13th, which is a Thursday, is I'm correct with, no, the 5th, what day is it? The 13th is a Thursday.
Yeah.
Because we'll have 17 applications to look at and to discuss. I think a special meeting would be most appropriate for
Yes.
that. Estella?
Dr. McClure, can it be in the afternoon past 2 o'clock, like around 4, to have the special meeting?
No, I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. Howard can't make it then?
Kind of got a class
I
Trustee
see my
Rosenberg,
cardiologist.
you have class on Thursday.
from 4 o'clock until 10.
I could do 11 o'clock.
I can do 11 o'clock.
Till what time?
4. Well, 3:30. Well, it depends.
Oh, well, I'm just saying, we
If I
don't
got a
want to
good
give you time
bicycle,
to
I can get
to.
up there quick.
We'll just have to get you a cab.
We'll do something. We can do it.
Trustee Rosenberg, does that work for everything else? Thursday, the
November 13th,
13th.
at 11 a.m.
At 11 a.m. to go over all of the applications and to discuss the individuals and to determine 5 to 7 candidates to interview possibly. Lisa?
do we have to notify the candidates that we're going to be discussing them?
Yes, they will be notified pursuant to open meeting law with personal service of the possibility that the candidates will be discussed on November 13th, and my office will take care of that.
And then the same thing holds true for the 18th as well?
And if your second meeting is the 18th, the same would hold true. We'll provide
All
notice
right.
for the 18th as well, presumably at the same time.
That's going to have to be a very organized discussion. So, as far as, because we have 17,
Well, since I won't be here, it'll be much easier to have the discussion.
no comment. So,
John? Sorry.
Are you done?
go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
You know, the 18th's a regular meeting.
Yes.
You know, I think we ought to have a special meeting for the interviews for this because it's so important that we want to devote enough time to it. And if we're in rush to get to 4 o'clock, awards and stuff like that, it would be kind of not good, I don't think. I'd like to get our attention on the candidates, listen to what they say, and then discuss the possible replacement.
So another special meeting for
Yeah,
the interview?
and I would suggest the 20th, keep it on a Thursday so that you have your Tuesday meeting, and then the 20th, we have a special meeting. That's maintaining that Thursday connection.
November 20th, Mr.
That's what I suggest.
Okay.
But
We have, we're in Las Vegas for
oh,
the
that's right.
state school
That's
board.
right, state school board. That's right.
Can we go into, then the following week is that Thanksgiving?
How about the 16th then, or I mean, 19th?
I believe we leave on the 19th for Las Vegas for the school board.
Oh, you do?
I think we do.
Okay.
Because there's meetings on Thursdays. Isn't that correct, Dr. McClory?
How about the
I don't know.
Monday before the meeting, and then they could come to the meeting and be in place for the meeting?
That's a good idea.
I can't.
Monday?
Oh, you can't.
I'm in class from 1 o'clock until 10.
Unless we do at 11 o'clock.
In the morning, I can manage it.
On Monday, 11 o'clock?
As long as I'm out of here by 12:30 to run up
Oh,
to
you're
school,
not
everything's fine. But the
Okay,
kids would
11
be
to
so
12
happy
then?
if I didn't show up. We can't let that happen.
Dave?
2 suggestions. First, you should have someone from staff and maybe from the attorney's office take all the applicants' names and information down in the county and make sure that they're qualified. They live in the district, they're qualified electors.
We've done that internally with our
Okay.
demographer, Trustee Isaac.
Okay. So that's been, and then if you're gonna have it, as I'm hearing it, narrow it down on the 13th to 5. Are you gonna ask all 17 the questions?
No.
No,
The second
that's-
meeting are the interviews, are the
We're
interviews for the
screening out
finals.
all the-
Okay.
That's a screening, basically a
The
paper
13th.
screening.
So,
Well, you might want to agendize it in case your top 5 are here, then maybe you could just continue on and be done with it. Just agendize it that way, so.
That's
if
also the Boys and Girls Club banquet at
They
5.
rise to the top, then
Estella?
you know, we're gonna have the packets. We should all do our homework prior to this
Right,
meeting.
of
I don't
course.
see the special meeting on November 13th, why it would take so much. I mean, do we have to be together well, we have to discuss it, you're right. So we should have each by that time our top candidates. And then Randy, you would tally up the top candidates and then we would have a discussion. I'm not too sure if we would be discussing each candidate. It would just only be the top candidates, correct? In my opinion, I don't know.
I don't know if we're paper screening and trying to do the paper screen, are you saying coming to that meeting with your top 5 or 7 already
Yeah.
picked?
You would do your homework prior to, I mean, you're,
The only thing is you gotta hand deliver something after they've been screened out.
Well, if you have the 2 meetings scheduled, you can provide notice at one time for the 2 meetings.
Same day.
Yes. But, assuming you have 2 meetings scheduled and agendized properly. So again, you have the 13th at 11 a.m. to review 17 applications. We're still, we could agendize, you could
Well, we
make a
could,
final determination that day if you so chose, but we should schedule one further out to,
that sounds like a good idea, Dave, I think. What does everyone think about that? That we do it on the 13th?
Screen and interview.
we should have already screened prior to that meeting.
Well, individually,
Yeah.
yes, but
Mhm.
not as a group.
Not as a group, but we would hope to, I mean, I'm just going by my experience on interviews for candidates. And we just did our foundation coordinator, and so we come in ready with our top 5, and then we discuss and tally the top 5. And we might discuss 8, because usually.
Depends on what you've got.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good idea to me. And what does anyone else think?
No, I think that's fine.
And then possibly agendize it just in case we're ready to move forward?
So some of these folks may be bringing people to speak on their behalf under public comment, so we want to be mindful of people's times and schedules. So we should kind of have a tentative, mapped out strategy of how long each discussion or each point will take place. Does that make sense? So if we're planning to narrow down to top 5 and then interview, those folks may have someone who wants to speak on their behalf at public comment. And so how do we give them at least some idea of...
Right, I understand that. Well, perhaps then what we need to do is move that to the 18th, and at that point, we would be interviewing 5, I don't think that, or 7, or whatever, and then have whomever they have in there
so schedule,
to work.
add an agenda item for November 18th for interviews of the finalists. I think that would be the safest.
Does that make
most
sense?
prudent way to do
All
it.
right.
At what time?
Dave?
One other thing you can do under the open meeting law is if you come on the 13th and start screening them out, you can just postpone the meeting to another time. You don't have to schedule another meeting. You can just say, I'd like to postpone this meeting until Friday, the next day if you want to.
Oh,
it doesn't have to be two
okay.
separate meetings. As long as you don't end the
That's
meeting,
true.
you just postpone it to a time and date.
And if they've been provided notice before then, and
Correct.
it would be the same meeting.
Correct. So you can do it the next day if you want to. If you just have that in mind, if you're getting close, you don't have to wait.
Right, okay.
But
Lisa?
we really want people to know the process and the timing.
But that's just what happens in long meetings
Gotcha.
sometimes. You don't have to re-agendize and wait the 5 days. You just
What I'm hearing now is that, let me try to summarize and see if we're on the same page. November 13th would be a special meeting of the Board of Trustees to review the applications.
Yep.
And come to an agreement on top 5 to 7 finalists.
Yep.
And then an agenda item will be, that agenda item could be open-ended to choose a candidate or choose a replacement. However, an agenda item will be added on the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees on November 18th to interview those finalists and select the replacement.
Well, I don't know whether that would work because what Lisa just pointed out was that she wanted to be sure those candidates had people who would come at public comment.
So if we take out that possibility for the 13th and just make it for the 18th,
Yeah,
that would
and
be the
as,
smoothest way to
as Dave pointed that and letting everyone know that if dependent upon how long, we may have screening through till the 14th, but we'll try and finish it on the 13th.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Which is really
So the,
Huh?
It does
Excuse
make
me.
sense.
Estella?
Dr. McCleary, so we're saying this another special meeting on the 18th at what time? I'm
No,
sorry.
that's the regular board meeting
Or not
time.
that, the 17th? Or when is it that we're
No,
talking about?
we're just talking about the 13th, and
Okay.
possibly it may go long in, so we may also then do part of it on the 14th.
Okay, got it.
And then we would interview the top candidates on the 18th at our regular agendized meeting.
Okay, got it.
And then we may just need to start it earlier in the day on the 18th. Randy, would that make sense? Or is that a possibility?
Yeah, you could start the meeting earlier, say noon or so, as a suggestion,
Howard,
and put that as
that
a
work?
I think
and
so.
add that as an agenda item early on in the agenda.
All right.
I'm fine at noon.
Do we need a motion, or just can we do consensus here?
No, I'd like a motion.
All right. Didn't you somebody make a motion?
I move that we did what we just discussed.
And I will put that on the record one more time, that you're going to have, the motion will be, and then Trustee Rosenberg confirmed that this is your motion, that on November 13th at 11 a.m. there'll be a special meeting of the Board of Trustees to review the applications for the replacement of Trustee Ayazi's seat. It's possible that the length of that meeting could be postponed into November 14th to continue the review process. An agenda item will be placed on the November 18th regular meeting of the Board of Trustees to commence at noon that day and to interview the finalists for Trustee Ayazi's seat and select the replacement. Is that your motion, Trustee
That's
Rosenberg?
beautifully said.
We need a second.
Second.
All right. It's been moved and seconded that we begin the process to select the new trustee on Thursday, November the 13th at 11 o'clock. If necessary, during that screening process, we may possibly go into the 14th. And then on the 18th, we will agendize the selection of the new candidate for Dave Ayazi's seat, with the meeting beginning probably around 11 or 12. Is that correct?
Yep.
Any more discussion? All right, all those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
Why?
The ayes have it.
Thank you.
All right, now, do we want to move to I think we should probably move to the recognition.
Yes.
And we have one other item to discuss that we may end up putting on the next meeting. All right, let's start then with recognition. And we are starting, I believe, with the educational support professional for September. Is that correct? JJ, do we have? Pardon me? Oh, Chris Hackbush and Marilyn Johnson. Welcome. Welcome to both of you.
Okay, good afternoon, Board of Trustees, President Clark, Dr. McClary, Superintendent Martinez, and Logan. How you doing? My name is Chris Hackbush, Principal of Reno High School, and it is my distinct honor to introduce a very special person to me and the Reno High School family. Mrs. Marilyn Johnson had a distinguished tenure as our registrar, one of the most important roles a high school possesses. During her time as the high school registrar, she quickly earned the respect of her colleagues, both at the school and at the district student accounting offices, for her professionalism, work ethic, and overall exemplary skills. 3 years ago, I had the opportunity to hire an administrative assistant immediately after being hired as the principal of Reno High School. I'll never forget what one of the committee members on the hiring committee said to me after reviewing the applicant names and paperwork. He said, "Marilyn applied? Wow, why are we even interviewing?" Well, as he ended up being right. We hired Mrs. Johnson to assume the administrative assistant position for Reno High School, and she has been, in a word, exceptional. She has had to juggle training of 2 registrars, along with learning her new position. She has made efforts in increasing the customer service efforts in our main office, as well as cross-training clerical staff in the areas of backup bookkeeper, online registration, and registrar. She handles every situation with quiet confidence, courtesy, but underneath she is extremely prideful and competitive. These are the traits that make someone the best in their field, and I'm so happy that the committee reviewing the applications for Educational Support Professional Year agreed with us. I just want to take a few moments here to share a few quotes from our staff who filled an entire poster board in our hallways with quotes and comments a few weeks ago. Mr. Potter wrote, "Marilyn's work ethic and dedication to her job is inspirational." Mr. Worthen wrote, "Marilyn is one of the friendliest and most helpful individuals in our school. She is always positive and supportive. She'll do whatever she can to help others." Mrs. Briggs wrote, she always has a lot on her plate, but at the same time, she has a kind and gentle response to everyone." Finally, Mr. Tomac wrote, "One of the most genuine, caring, and hardworking people I know. I'm blessed to work with her." Ladies and gentlemen, Marilyn Johnson, Educational Support Professional of the Year.
My goodness, Marilyn. Marilyn, you must really be well loved at Reno High School, and I'm sure you were well loved at McQueen High School. Please step to the microphone and tell us why you think you like doing this so well, because your position is invaluable to everyone in the school. I can comment on that.
That's very sweet. Thank you so much. The reason I like doing this is because I work with absolutely amazing people. Reno High School, it's my home. Student accounting, PPA&A, what would I do without you? My family, my friends, thank you.
Would you like
This
to
honor.
ask everyone to stand up who has accompanied you here today so that we might applaud them as well?
Yes, please.
That's pretty impressive, I must say. We have a plaque for you, which Trustee Ruggiero will read, and we will present it to you, and then we'll take pictures.
I am honored to read this. It's a plaque by the Washoe County School District for Marilyn Johnson for outstanding service to Washoe County School District 2014-2015, presented by the Board of Trustees. Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations. Would you like your friends to come up and get into the photograph? Please do.
Bring
sorry.
I want to see this camera.
I know that. Hey Logan, I forgot to introduce you, sorry. I forgot to introduce you when you came in. But I also forgot to ask somebody about you. They had a comment and I forgot them. That's why I don't like to. Oh, that's exactly it. It's being retired, so my brain cells are starting to spin around. Barbara, are you still on? Okay, I'm gonna take 2. So.
Yes.
Okay, just wanting to know if you were still there.
Yes.
Okay. We're moving through the all right, next up would be Kendra Fox for the Educational Support Professional for October, and her name is Kathleen McDermott. Kendra?
I'm right here.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Martinez. Thank you for this recognition for my secretary in my department. I'd like to introduce to you Kathy McDermott, who's worked in the Curriculum Instruction Department for 7 years. If you walk into our building, the Regional Center for Teaching and Learning over on Edison, Kathy's face is the first face you will encounter. And I can tell you that I have never walked in the building in 11 years and not seen a smiling face from Kathy there. But behind the smiling face is someone who is collaborative. She works with different departments in the school district. She works with our master course file, which if you spent any time at a school, you know that that file is critical for getting kids into the right classes and the right classes on their transcript. So it really is an important tool for our district, and Kathy almost single-handedly manages it and then collaborates with the other departments. She also supports 5 of my staff members and then volunteers to help additional folks as they need help. She never has said no. I've said, Kathy, can you do this? Sure, I'll have it done. Very little direction needed, just goes and does it, and always does it with a smiling face. And it is so nice to have that kind of help and support and trust. Like, I just know that Kathy is going to get it done and get it done right. And I just can't thank her enough. So.
Well, thank you. Congratulations, Kathy. Would you like to say a few words about the wonderful staff that nominated you for this?
Oh, they are. I'm very blessed to work with wonderful teachers and support staff, and it's just a great place to be.
Well, it must be a great place to be, but you also must be a very great person in this particular position. Meeting a smiling face when you first walk in the building generally signifies all of the great cultural things that are going on there. And so we thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Do you have people here that came with you and would like to have them stand as well? All right. Oh my gosh. Do you want to introduce them?
My family, my daughter, Ashley, my granddaughter, Jillian, my mother, Nellie,
Oh my.
my husband, Rick, and my Molly.
My Molly.
Kim and Casey, 2
Okay.
of my teachers.
Very good. All right. Well, thank you so much for all you do, and thank you to their families for coming and supporting her too. All right. We do have a plaque for you as well, Kathy, and Ms. Ruggiero, Trustee Ruggiero, will read that.
And I apologize for the fingerprints. I'm so sorry. A plaque from the Washoe County School District for Kathleen McDermott for outstanding service to Washoe County School District 2014-2015, presented by the Board of Trustees. Thank you and congratulations.
And we'll be taking another picture, so if you would like everyone to come up in the photograph, or however you want to do that is the best. We'll decide. You decide.
You guys scooch together just a little bit. Your little daughter in front of that.
I'm going to. Oh, who's checking? Okay. Congratulations once again. All right, the next recognition includes the U.S. State Department Teaching Excellence Achievement Fellows, Jennifer Mahan, PhD from UNR, along with, and she's from the College of Ed, along with Michael Cuban, I believe, Senior Program Officer, Teacher Exchange Branch, Education and Cultural Affairs, the U.S. Department of State. Welcome, and so happy to have you here to talk to us about your teaching fellows.
Thank you. This is the 4th year that we've had this program, and thank you. The fellows, as we said, are from the U.S. State Department Teaching Excellence and Achievement Program, and they're at the university with the College of Ed for about 3 weeks, and they do some workshops, and then they go off to middle and high schools, and they partner with their teachers for about another 2.5 weeks. So they're very tired.
I can't imagine why.
Every day getting up at 5 in the morning, so they're there by 7:30 because they're all in middle and high schools. So I want to recognize them, the countries that they're from, and also the schools where they're partnering. So when I say your country, just stand up, okay? So we have representatives from Niger, India, Cambodia, Colombia, Uzbekistan, Bulgaria, Zambia, the Yemen, Ukraine, Costa Rica, Haiti, Mali, I'm going faster, Nepal, Cote d'Ivoire, Russia, Tajikistan, and South Africa.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much.
And I would like to just thank the faculty and staff who have welcomed them with open arms. Some of them already have T-shirts and, you know, all sorts of gear and have been to rallies and football games and pumpkin patches. Sparks High School and Sparks Middle, McQueen, Clayton, Spanish Springs, Trainer, Reed, DeMonte, Pine, and North Valleys.
What a wonderful experience for all of them and for all of us as well. Would you like to speak for a moment?
Michael Kuban from the U.S. State Department.
And since this is our 4th year, can you talk a little bit about why you continue to choose Reno, Nevada, the University of Nevada, and Washoe County School District?
Well, of course, first of all, thank you for having me, and it's an honor for me to be here representing the U.S. Department of State. I wanted to take the opportunity to thank all of you and the district and the schools and the teachers for your support of the program. The teachers are part of a larger cohort of about 150 teachers per year that are placed in 8 different host campuses across the country for a 6-week period in either the spring or the fall term. And the universities apply to receive teachers. So it is basically due to an extremely strong application from the Faculty of Education at the University of Nevada, Reno, combined with the Northern Nevada International Center. So we're very pleased to continue that partnership.
And what is the purpose, would you say, of the whole entire program, aside from learning more about each other and the different cultures and the different human beings that we're all have big hearts, most of us, and all of that? What's the real purpose behind all of this?
Yes, well, the mission overall of the Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs that I represent is to improve and increase mutual understanding between American citizens and citizens of countries around the world. So we're very pleased to be a part of that important work.
And speaking on my own behalf, I'm so pleased that we continue to do this, because I think our world is much smaller than we would watch on television. So it's really the people-to-people exchange that working together, whether they're adults in a profession, whether they're students on an exchange program. I think that's what we need to do more of, in my opinion.
Definitely.
So, do you have a spokesperson from the group who might want to speak? Is there anyone who may want to say something?
Somebody want to say something? Come on.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Introduce yourself.
I'm Chilofia Chwisa from Zambia.
Ah, right.
And on my behalf and on the behalf of the entire group, we are so grateful that we were given this chance to come and have this exchange program in America and in the different schools that we visited. We've seen that these schools are really just like back home. They've given us open hands, and we've really experienced some cultural exchange. At first, we thought it would be very difficult for us to work in these schools, but as we have stayed longer there, we've discovered that actually we are one. And we really appreciate the teachers, because they've given us everything that we need. And when we go back home there, we are going to talk about how good Americans are. We thank you for this.
Well, thank you very much. All right. Any other comments? Any of the trustees have questions or comments?
No, I'm just delighted that,
Yeah,
that
I
this is
know.
happening.
I am
it's
too.
Great.
Well, we're so, at the State Department, are so pleased to be a part of it, and we appreciate your support. And so if you'll let me read the certificate that we'd like to present. The United States Department of State Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs Certificate of Appreciation presented to Washoe County Board of Trustees in recognition of your support of the Teaching Excellence and Achievement Program at the University of Nevada, Reno. And it's signed by my branch chief, Jennifer Gibson, of the Teacher Exchange branch of the Office of Global Educational Programs.
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you
thank
so
you so
very
much for your
much.
support.
Thank you.
I'll accept that on behalf of the president and of the board of trustees. Thank you so much.
Would you
And
like a picture?
they would love a picture, actually. They're my paparazzi.
Yeah, you guys can come and stand here too, so we'll just Wow. Don't be shy.
Move the table next.
Over, you're gonna have to move over. Horseshoe. Come on, Pedro.
Keep going. I think you're going to have to scoot down, some of you. There you go.
Squeeze in as soon as you guys get outside.
Some of the shorter people in here.
You can be here.
Okay. You have to be able to see the camera.
That's a beautiful picture. That's a gorgeous picture.
This way?
Jenny, join us.
Does anybody have a cell phone they want me to call?
Oh, you might not want to start that. Okay, I'm going to take 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3. I'll take another couple. 1, 2, 3. Could we stop 1 second? We're missing one person. Oh. We'll take a couple. Sahar's from Turkey. She's.
Oh gosh, really?
He's,
To give one to someone else to help you.
I don't take
Well.
really good pictures. Beautiful.
Forgot to tell you guys to say Nevada.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
Let me get you there.
Talk about global education.
Yeah,
Hello.
that's fun.
That's right.
Okay.
That's it. That's the one, Logan. That's
Lisa Marie?
Yes.
Is our person from Incline here?
We're as ready as we're gonna get.
Oh, all right, very good. I'd like to welcome for the Exceptional Volunteer Award, is it Cassie?
Yes.
Kirkendall, to present Beth Case.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Let's just wait a minute. Bye.
Good afternoon, Board of Trustees and Superintendent Martinez. I'm Officer Cassie Kirkendall with School Police. Last year, I had the assignment of working up in Incline. While I was up in Incline, I got the very good experience of meeting a wonderful community member by the name of Beth Casey. She's just an amazing woman who lived in the neighborhood of the high school and the elementary school. And one day when she was out for a walk, she noticed the need of the elementary school needing some assistance with the crossing guard of the busy intersection at Northwood and Village Parkway. She assisted the elementary school students who were stuck on the opposite side of the street of the school, across the street, and then went in and made sure they made it to school safely that morning and met with the site administrator, Rich Maritz. She asked if there was anything she could do to help in the future because she noticed that the kids were stuck on the opposite side of the school. So she filled out a volunteer application, and every day from that point forward, she was at the school 30 minutes before it started and 30 minutes before it released every day to help the kids to and from school safely. She is not able to make it today, and neither is the site administrators for Incline, and I'm not even up there anymore, but I am proud to have submitted her name for an award, and she was accepted. She's an amazing lady. Every day she shows up with a smile, and the community has opened their arms to her and rewarded her with hugs, flower bouquets, and coffee on a daily basis. No matter rain, snow, sunshine, bears, she was there. Stop sign in hand and yellow safety vest on and a smile. Some days she even brought music for the kids.
I know. When I read that, what you had written, I could not even begin to grasp that. I just think it's absolutely extraordinary. And I think it would be nice if we either have this another time, or perhaps some of the trustees may want to take a trip up to Incline and present her with her certificate but only Howard can read it, so you're probably going to have to go along. Whatever would be easiest for her, perhaps Lisa Marie, you might be able to check with her and see whether we can reschedule or whether she'd like us to come up
I
there.
would make the trip up to Incline.
Yeah.
If that was the case.
All right.
Her principal had an emergency, the site administrator had something, and she was delayed coming down. So I told her not to worry about it because we weren't sure how long she'd make it.
All right.
So
Well, that's fine. And
whatever
thank you.
works.
Yeah. No. Thank you so much for doing that. I really have never, and I've been working for 40 years in Washoe County School District. I've never heard someone just come in and volunteer for doing crossing guard every day in the morning and in the afternoon. I think that's some kind of a story line that needs to go into, you know, how Americans would do their jobs. It's just amazing. Go
Vice
ahead.
President McClory, Superintendent Martinez, and members of the board, I think it would be a really great idea if there was going to be a trip up to Incline, if we could deliver it to her there, and perhaps in front of the students and
That'd be
faculty at the
just fine.
school. I think that would be amazing because she really does go above and beyond.
Yes, she certainly does.
Yep, that's your area.
Awesome.
Yep, we'll do that then.
And we'll do that before the snow comes.
Yeah, well, yes, or I don't go. All right, well, thank you again, and we'll contact you as well so you can go along.
Thank you
up
very
there
much.
with us. All right, thank you, Lisa Marie.
Howard, do you want me to hold that stuff for you?
I think.
Probably would be a good
Yeah,
idea.
good idea.
Now, we have one more item on our agenda that Kristen told me that we really needed to take a look at. It's the item 3.04, discussion of proposed revisions to board policy 4117, licensed employee probation and evaluation, step 2. Kristen? Or Randy or Lisa?
I think
Whoever.
our Chief Human Resources Officer,
sorry.
Dawn Huckabee, will be presenting.
Dawn, you got to write names down for me. I can't keep up. Welcome.
Hello, Vice President McClory, members of the board. I'm Dawn Huckabee, Chief Human Resources Officer, and with me is Ben Hayes, Chief Accountability Officer. Thanks for the opportunity to speak with you today about Board Policy 4117, which is licensed personnel evaluations. And this is a revision to a current board policy that we already have in effect, but it takes into consideration something that was passed in the legislature. As you are all aware, the state of Nevada is implementing a statewide evaluation system called the Nevada Educator Performance Framework. And as part of that, they're conducting a validation study, and Washoe County School District is participating in that validation study. And so for the 2014-15 school year, it is mandated that each school district shall have a board policy in place that parallels the Nevada Educator Performance Framework. We have our professional growth system in place, and so what you see for the first time, which has already gone through the board policy committee, are the revisions to our current policy that takes into account what should occur for the 14-15 school year. And so while we have a current system that is 4 tiers, that's highly effective, effective minimally, and ineffective ratings for evaluation. For this year, we must submit to the state the satisfactory, unsatisfactory ratings. So what you'll see in that board policy, it just says that for this year, while we have a 4-tier system, we'll submit and transmit to the state the SAT, unsat ratings. And this is only for this year. As we are all aware, we also have a legislative session coming up, and so there's going to be probably a lot of talk around the NEPF and any possible changes that could occur based on that. But for this year, we just needed to put in place. We have submitted this to the Department of Education as a draft pending board approval, and that's why we wanted to make sure that we had this moving forward.
All right, does anyone have any questions or concerns about the policy as currently drafted?
No.
This is an action item, is it not?
It's discussion.
Oh, just discussion?
Yeah.
The first, oh, that's right.
It's step 2.
Two.
It's the first time to the board. It'll come 2 more times. to
All
the
right,
board.
okay. Well, so far then, everyone thinks that one looks just perfectly wonderful. All right, so we're going to back up and take on, are you done?
No.
Oh, what do you want? Oh. All right, we're going to do the 2.13.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Political activity in schools.
Oh, that's
Didn't we do
Was
that?
that
in the
poll?
consent?
That was a
I-
consent.
Oh, it was already accepted?
Yeah.
All right, see, that's why I never make a good president. I just like to keep on talking. All right, we have board reports, superintendent's report. Is there a board member who would like to talk about their events this week?
Pass.
John?
Yes, I would.
He always goes everywhere.
Because Howard and yourself and myself were at the Student Advisory Committee meeting that was just wonderful. And you are to be congratulated for running such an efficient meeting. And the kids that you have on that you've recruited for that committee show wide verse across the community. And I think that you did a great job. And I'm looking forward to you having a retreat. We'll be there to see. Maybe you don't. Maybe I'll wait for the invitation. but it was absolutely great. And I was at 4 schools this past 2 weeks: Limmelson, Mamie Tolles, Huntsberger, and Lenz. And I want to comment on the creative writing that I saw in the hall of Lenz. No wonder they're a blue ribbon school. Fantastic. First graders writing with complete sentences. No fragments, no run-ons. Their handwriting across there, and then I got up to 4th grade, and they had been out to Fort Churchill, and had come back and written. They crumble up paper, and then they tear it into squares for their writing, and it looks like buckskin, And I just can't believe the writing of those 4th graders. It was fantastic. It was like, as I read the themes along the wall, it was like I was there. They were so conclusive of all their activities. It was just wonderful. And if anybody says that we have a lax curriculum, that don't have rigor, they're not visiting these schools. Going into these classrooms, you see creative, integrated curriculum where the teachers have set the curriculum in the school, and no longer will you be like my son was. 1st grade, he had a unit on rocks. 2nd grade, he had a unit on rocks. 3rd grade, he had a unit on rocks. And now he has a head full of rocks. But at least they could put dinosaurs in between those units on the rock. And they're doing things that it should be the way teaching. For example, these kids that went to Fort Churchill, they took rocks and they measured it and they weighed it, and they tried to figure out how many of these rocks it would take to build those forts that are out at Churchill, because they took measurements of that and everything, and then they write about it, and it's all integrated curriculum, and it's just fantastic.
Great, that's great to hear. Lisa?
Well, I don't mean to show you up, Mr. Mayor.
Uh-oh, you went to more schools than I did.
Well, I went to 3 schools with Deputy Davis and Dr. Green, and it was great. We went to the Adult Education Program, Washoe Inspire, Washoe Innovations, and I just have to say this, I don't even know if this is a word, but it was amaze balls to see what they're doing at Washoe High on 2nd Street, which I don't know if any of you have had. I know you guys have had experience
I
with
was
it.
there the day after you were there.
I took them.
Oh, he's trying to show me up.
No, I heard that you had tore the place
Oh my
apart, so I
gosh.
wanted to make sure.
So I can tell you, just as a prior to getting on the board, as a member of the community and a professional, that I worked and referred many students and families to Washoe High, and the difference that I witnessed during my visit was incredible. The students are engaged, the teachers were engaged. It was like a home. People were busy. There was mentoring going on. I mean, learning happening. Kids felt a part. And I think we're gonna see it kind of turn into an AACT where kids are gonna be, lining up to get into that program. So it was amazing. And then our adult education program, it was like, and I don't want to give any competition to TMCC, but it was like a junior college. It was like a community college. The atmosphere was very professional. The principal had worked all morning to get all of the nameplates on the wall because they had just painted. So, I mean, the environment is totally, completely different than it used to be. So, really, if you have not visited, you need to visit those programs because I can speak as a taxpayer and a community member who have used the programs for years. The transition is amazing. So, and the care is very evident. So, I enjoyed myself. Mr. Mayor, that is now 3 schools. So
and you couldn't have picked a better one because the curriculum department, tutors, each one of them tutors a kid, and one of them that's being tutored by Dr. Paul Lamarcus on our student advisory board.
Yes, and what were they?
Expeditions, part of Big Picture.
Tell us what that was.
So Taylor has implemented Innovations Big Picture Learning, and part of that is because it's an alternative learning space for kids who do not fit into a traditional mold of a traditional comprehensive high school. They come with many challenges, but the opportunity for them to shadow and become part of the community and look at job opportunities and still earn a diploma is the goal, and give them opportunities beyond that diploma. So it's very amazing, and so we invite any of you who would like to come see and hear from the kids. Really, it's not us. The kids are talking about it. They do expeditions and they pour their hearts out, and I think you were in a session where like everybody was bawling, right? Talked about it saving his life.
Talk about Dr. Green, the young man. No, don't sit down yet. Deputy. Super.
Okay.
Whatever your new title is. Talk about Dr. Green's mentee.
So we all have pretty much picked a child to mentor. And so without violating FERPA rights, I'm going to say that the kids have challenging experiences ranging from taking care of siblings to taking care of parents with cancer, to not seeing parents because they've been in prison. So like my kid personally did not do her geometry homework and she was supposed to do it, and she's okay with the C, but she wants to go to college. So I have to go have a conversation about turning in your homework because what your GPA does for you, like the extra push they might not get somewhere else. So it's really good to see that we have district staff stepping up and mentoring kids and making a difference. So it's pretty amazing, this new thing we're doing.
And I was able to hear the testimony from the kids, so it was really, really, really exciting for me. So thank you for that.
Logan, anything interesting in your corner of the woods?
Trustee Mayor summed it up with the Student Advisory Board.
Yeah, it was a wonderful meeting. Thank you for your leadership on that.
Thank you.
Howard.
This will be a little bit different. I have 3 classes that follow one after another. They're visual foundations classes. Most everything that the kids have been used to in most of schools works toward convergence. There's a right answer. That's what they're looking for, which is fine. And they use different ways to get to that right answer. I'm not looking for convergence. I'm looking for divergence. I'm seeing kids who are able to do it. And many of them are from Washoe County. And that is a pleasure. I've got one kid who turned in a paper, and it had 1 period on it, 4 pages long. So I said to him, why don't you have at least a comma somewhere? And he looked at me, he said, 'cause it wasn't pretty. After I belted him, I felt better, and he did too. But it's working. It is working.
That's great. Barbara, did you have a comment you wanted to make?
No, I'll pass.
All right. Dave?
Pass.
And I'm going to pass as well. Pedro?
Sure. So it was
I was at Reno High School just recently, and I just got to share this story. So Reno High School, of course, is one of our high schools that has one of the highest graduation rates. They're in competition, of course, with other high schools to see who gets to 90%.
Who are the other high schools?
I'm not going to say it, but I mean, like I said, it's just a lot of competition. I mean, we have 9 out of our 13 high schools now that are over 80% over an 80% graduation rate. And you know, just to put that in perspective, in 2009 we only had 2, and so now we're at 9. But Reno really impresses me because I think it says a lot about what's happening in our schools. So even though they're at 87%, they could rest on their laurels. They have, you know, they had record numbers of kids going to college, getting into Stanford, getting into top colleges all over the country. They are still concerned about those children they're not getting. And the fact that they're putting systems in place through from 9th grade to 12th, they have conversations about kids that have disabilities and how can they serve them better. They have conversations about kids that are English language learners. Chris Hackbush last year, there was a student that they were trying to get in touch with and they couldn't find them. And he happened to see this child as he was having dinner with his family, and he literally left the dinner table with his family there chasing after this student. And you know, and I think I've shared that story before, but you can, when you see it not only from the principal, but you see it from all the staff, and I got a chance to talk to many of the department heads. For me, it just shows, you know, I think you expect that at Hug High School. I think you expect that at North Valleys or at Worcester, but to see it all the way through the entire system, I think just again, just is a great symbolism of what's going on. And just my final comment, just because this will be my last official board meeting, I just want to thank the trustees for the opportunity for being able to serve as a superintendent. Thank the staff. I want to congratulate Tracy Davis for being our interim superintendent. I think it's well deserved. There's very few things that I do as a superintendent that Tracy, as well as the whole leadership team, is not involved with. So proud of the schools. I think one of the things that makes me very humble is just the fact that you can go to, whether it's Anderson Elementary School, who now is a 4-star school, you go to Corbett, who had one of the highest reading gains in the district, and 2 years ago was our 1-star school. You go to, like I said, all the high schools. Hug right now has more students. This is the first time ever in the district's history, or in the last, I would say the last at least 5 to 10 years, that they have almost 250 12th graders, with more than 25% of them with an increase over last year of more than 25% of kids on track to graduate, with kids talking about UC Davis and Berkeley and Stanford, and those conversations just didn't occur at Hug. And of course, seniors are all looking at the University of Nevada, Reno, so watch out, Howard. You'll see quite a group of them.
I don't just know where we're going to put them.
So it's just, you know, like I said, very proud of the work that's going on in our schools, and I just want to, you know, just thank the staff and thank the community, because it's the partnership that happens. And regardless of what, you know, anything else, we can never forget that it's working together that's creating these type of results in our schools. So again, I want to thank the board, thank the staff, and thank the community.
Thank you, Pedro. I'd also like to say that you also have brought us to that vision and that point where we want to continue with what we're doing. And I believe that Deputy Superintendent Tracy Davis will be able to move forward and continue with the implementation of our strategic plan, because we've moved a long ways in the 5 years since we developed that, and I think we still have a long ways to go, but thank you for all of your efforts as well. Estela?
I too want to thank you, Pedro, sincerely for your leadership when it came to the achievement gap. Especially for me, the remediation portion, the efforts that's been done with both the university and TMCC. And I looked at the data. In 2010, 80% of our class was remediation, and now it's 50%. That's a 30% less, you know, so I thank you for that. I want to say thank you for your passion. I don't know if I've ever met a person with your passion and love for children. And I see that every single day. I was doing I was doing a pedicure. I didn't want to say I was doing my feet, but I was doing a pedicure, and there was this Asian person that was doing my pedicure, and he was just talking about how his child was so excited to meet the superintendent, and that how you kneeled down to reach to his hand and just say, you know, you could do this, you could do this. And for all of the, especially, you know, for the years that I've been here, especially reaching out to a community, a growing fastest community like the Latino community, and your reputation, your passion. So I just want to thank you for that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Trustee Gutierrez.
Thank you very much. Anyone else have any comments?
I do.
Lisa?
I do. I want to echo what Trustee Gutierrez has to say, and also Trustee McClory. And I'm sorry, Pedro. I'm sorry for everything we've all been through and any pain that this has caused you. And
Me too, Trustee Ruggiero. Thank you.
And I hope we can all move forward. I have high hopes for you, and I have high hopes for the district.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and now that brings us to almost the end of the board meeting. This is a celebration of service. All right, where did that go?
Oh my God, that photograph is airbrushed within an inch of its life. What was it taken 30 years ago?
Is that your picture up there?
Ain't mine.
I know, I looked at that too, and I went, hey,
Hey.
that's pretty good look.
Yeah.
I know this is bittersweet for you, and it is for us as well. And we wish you all the health that you can muster over the coming years, and that we know you're still going to be a viable, vital part of the Reno Sparks community, no matter what you determine that you want to do. And so for your time on this school board, we've presented you with this to memorialize it, which is Washoe County School District, presented to Trustee David I. Azzi in appreciation and recognition of your hard work and commitment to education. Washoe County School District Board of Trustees, 2013 through 2014.
Stop. I'll give you an hour to stop.
We care for pictures and all. Do you want your pictures?
Pictures?
I would love to have a picture with everyone.
All right, come on, all the board.
Put it on Facebook.
Pedro, come on.
I won't, it's not her habit, she's got it.
Who's got what? Where?
Come on, look.
Trustees.
We'll turn to the side.
You'll have to get it.
Yep, I think you're gonna have to.
Scrunch up, kids.
Dave, you should be in the middle more.
I'm
Come stand right in
I'm
front
not
of
used to
me.
being in the middle.
On the edge. Let's see, could we maybe move that chair? I'm sorry. There we go. No, great. Okay. Everybody ready? 1, 2, 3. And then one more. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Trustee.
6.0.
Keep going. You're there next.
Let's see. 6.01, board requests for future Board of Trustees agendas and agenda items.
Yes.
John.
You know, every year we get like a report of which schools had intercession and how many students were there. And it seems that in my computer not working or something, I have not received that information, and I sure would like to have the information as to how many were no-shows that registered, and then they had backup, you know, and when they didn't come, the places went for naught. So I'd like to know the people that don't, how many no-shows they had also.
All right. Anyone else?
I think
Stella?
me for informational item only in the effort of being transparent, can we have a tally as to what we've spent on legal fees with Kent Robeson as of today?
Sure.
Sure. Anybody else? All right, then. Public comment?
There's that one we missed from
Oh, I
3.03.
know. This is my fault. This was for item 3.03, Sandra Rentis.
She left.
Yeah. Do you know her?
Yes, I do. I know her from the university. She left though.
Well, shall I give her a call?
Well, if you'd like, I can talk. I can.
Oh, can you tell her, give her my sincere apologies, because that was totally my fault. I just went, it was sitting right here and I just overlooked it.
Yes,
so.
I know her. I'll let her know.
I have a point of clarification, please.
All right.
Trustee Mayor, would that be acceptable to you if we send that through the superintendent's highlights for that item as well?
You know, I'd like one that I can come out and print it out and show it to some of the people that say intercession isn't worthy of it. That's what I want. Major, you know, I want a chart that shows, so that I've had several parents call me and say their kids were on the waiting list and then there was a no-show and they didn't get in.
So you want information on no-shows for intercession?
No-shows, how many there were, how many schools, and just in a chart, because I want to show these. Some people say nothing happened during intercession, and I want a chart, not in the highlights, because I just like a chart that
And
shows
to send that to all the trustees. We can send that to all the
Sure.
trustees.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So we don't need it on an agenda item, but we can send the information out to all the trustees.
All right, no public comment, no nothing. All right. Next meeting announcement will be Thursday, November the 13th, 2014, for screening of the new trustee position. And I believe Lisa Scurry has those books, Lisa Ruggiero, and then Estella.
I don't know if this is on a future agenda item, but we need to reconvene our committee that Trustee Rosenberg and Dr. McClory sit on. I also sit on the committee. It's the board governance that was preparing the orientation with JJ, our ad, and Ms. Scurry to finish preparing the board orientation manual, so it's ready for our new trustees. So that's not necessarily, is that a
Well, we just need to schedule a meeting, I think, and go, was that what we were doing? Lisa, or somebody?
It was the ad hoc committee, and we can reschedule the meeting, and the orientation book is being reviewed right now by myself as far as the draft document. So.
On the other point of that governance manual, with possibly 2 or 3 new board members being elected, we also need for them to have some input into the actual governance manual, I think.
Agreed.
Estella?
Dr. McCleary, just for clarification, for the November 13, is that when we're going to decide if the questions are going to be given to the candidates or not?
Oh, I don't know. I guess we could.
You can make that decision on the 13th.
I just want, because I just remembered that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for your clarification.
All right. Any other questions? Anything else for the good of the order? Nothing? All right. Request for dismissal.
Adjournment.
Adjournment, whatever. I'm a teacher.
Do anything I want.
All right, we're going to be adjourned right now at 5-something. Thank you.